joining me. Happy Lionsgate. Happy full moon to you all. Bear with me 1 second while I get situated here. I always forget something, but here we go. So we're going to just give it a few minutes for some folks to come into the live stream. I'm actually uploading as we speak. I did do a reading, the uh, Lemurian Star Child reading for Lionsgate and for the Aquarius full moon. It's a lengthy reading, but it is a wonderful reading. It's very much worth the watch. So definitely that will be uploading here shortly. After this live stream is over, I encourage you to go check that out. Hey Travy, how are you? Welcome in, welcome in. Appreciate you coming in. Happy full moon to you and happy Lionsgate. Glad to have you in the house. I'm about to burn my candle down to the ground. Shut that off and put some incense going. How's your day been treating you? Pretty good? Bear with me just 1 second. I forgot a couple things I should have gotten set up before we got rolling here. Today is kind of it's always kind of an open house freestyle. We can go wherever we need to go in the conversation. I'm cool with it. I'll just come in to hang out a little bit with you guys. I'm not doing readings tonight. This is more of a spiritual conversation. If you want a personal reading, though, Hakeem, you can email me at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com and I'll connect with you and we can make arrangements there if you'd like. Now, I do have a reading that's uploading as we speak, and it might speak to you as well. It is for Lionsgate and for the full moon. I just finished doing that reading a little while ago, and it's a lengthy reading, but it's an amazing reading. So I do encourage you to check that out when it finishes uploading. But if you need a personal reading, yes, email me at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com and we can work that out that way, okay? And the email is listed on my about page if you didn't quite catch it. Hey Sage, how are you? Happy full moon and Lionsgate to you as well. I was just telling them I just got through with a reading. It wound up being longer than I thought it was going to be, but it was an amazing reading that's going up for Lionsgate and the full moon energy. So that should be, it said it had about 15 minutes, but you know how that goes with you. Well, you may not if you don't upload stuff to YouTube. Sometimes it uploads almost instantly and sometimes it takes hours, but whenever it goes up, it is for the collective. So I hope y'all enjoy that as well. Any that are listening, if you're interested in, awesome, good, yeah. It was, like I said, it went further in depth than I thought it was gonna go. I took my time with it though, and the reason it took so long is because rather than me just reading intuitively, the decks that I was reading for are rather deep and dealing with like star seed energies. So I actually took the time to go into the book as well to see what the book had to say for the cards that we pulled. So yeah, it was wonderful. And welcome in to those that are coming. I see some more folks coming in here. Hopefully we'll get started a little bit. Hey Abhishek, how are you? Glad to have you in here. Welcome. And honestly, those that are, like I said, not reading cards tonight, if you're interested in a personal reading for a donation, email me at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com and we can work it out there. We are typically the evenings, it gets a little too congested for that. It becomes more of a spiritual conversation in the evenings. I am going to have some daytime sessions for tarot for donation. I may even start doing an alternate evening, like do maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday doing the spiritual conversation, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, or something like that, doing tarot for donations. I'm not quite sure how we're gonna work that out, but yeah, I hadn't really planned on a tarot reading this evenings, and without the mods in place, it gets a bit much. You said the uploading you have. Understand. No worries, Sage. If you can, cool. If you can't, hopefully some of my other mods will come in, and if not, I've got my tablet here. I can kind of watch out from. It's actually oddly enough, it's been somewhat mild over the past couple of days. I don't know if I messed up by speaking. Oh, Brittany's here. Yay, good. That's works. How you doing, girl? What's up? Happy full moon. Happy Lions Gate. Oh, she gave me the purple hearts. I love it. I had to get the money colors on today, but I'm forever a purple girl. So I'm going to have to check out your page too. And I suggest all of y'all do the same. I didn't even, fortunately, a lot of folks are coming in, so I can't go and personally check out each individual person that joins the channel. So I wasn't aware you had a channel, but you are uploading, and I will definitely be checking you out. Is your page Sage E, or what is your page, Sage? Shout yourself out, girl, so we can go over there and check out your channel. Hey, Selena Harrell, how are you? Happy Lionsgate and happy full moon to you, my dear. Before you check out on the Sage, make sure you name your channel though, because I'm serious. I want to go check it out, and I want to encourage everyone here within the sound of my voice to go check it out too, especially if you're doing 432 mindfulness meditations and stuff. We need all of that we can get. Absolutely. Steve, hey Steven, how are you? I'm doing very well, dear. Yep. This Lionsgate energy ain't gonna get me down. And truthfully, I can't even say I feel bad. I just been feeling kind of sluggish. I was sitting there earlier trying to do the reading and felt like I was about to go to sleep at the table. I'm like, no, that ain't gonna work. Stop being lazy. You would think I hadn't got no sleep, but I got a full night's sleep and was still sitting here about to nod off at the table. It's that energy. 432 Heels YouTube channel. Absolutely. Okay, and I'm gonna just write down here, Sage E 432 Heels. And I am gonna put you on that you want a reading, but I do still need you to email me so that once I do the reading, I have a link to email. I have an email address to deliver your link to you. But yeah. What about the Anunnaki? Oh, that's all right up my alley, Stephen. What'd you say about the Anunnaki? Like I said, I love them. Yeah, yeah, for sure. There are 16, 17 folks in the room now. When don't leave in the live stream, jot it down though, and we're gonna go over to 432 Heels and show Sage some love when this is over with, okay? Because she says she uploading something fresh and crispy for us right now. So definitely, especially since we're in in full moon energy and Lionsgate energy, absolutely. W8 Man 10. Okay, Sebastian, hello to you too. OSM Vision. I'm gonna write it down. I surely will. I don't like I said, I'm not gatekeeping over here. I got a bajillion channels I'm subscribed to anyway. So if it's something that's about positivity and our growth and expansion and spirituality and all that good stuff, woo, that's all up my alley. For sure. Hey, Sheila Clayton. Welcome. Happy Lionsgate. Happy full moon, Caleb. Welcome. My Saturday is going great, brother. I hope yours is too. And so, Sebastian, I'm going to write that down too. See if I can go and check that channel out and see what's going on. And honestly, it don't even have to be a particularly spiritual channel. I say that because I know that's what most of us are interested in here in this live stream. That's why you're here. But if you got any kind of channel that you're putting content on, unless it's just something that's really complete mind rot, like you said, doing it for the algorithm just to make some money, even then you can shout it out. I mean, honestly, if it vibes with us, it vibe with us. If it don't, it don't. I'm not funky about that. So hey, MA, welcome in, welcome in. Stephen, we're gonna be on the Anunnaki for sure this evening because that's about 80% of what I talk about. Because my main guides are Yeshua, Thoth, and Lord Enki, and that's Anunnaki all day. People don't understand that. They think that Jesus is, I don't know who they think Jesus is, but they talk about, oh, he's the son of God. Well, which God? That's debatable. Well, it ain't even debatable to me, but I'm saying in the scriptures, whichever one he was supposed to be, he would still be a son of the Anunnaki. Hey, headlines, welcome in, welcome in. Great to have you. And hey, Nancy Smith, welcome. Happy new. Why do I keep saying that? Happy Lionsgate and full moon. What is it with me and the new moon? Are we gonna be out there doing some kind of a manifestation summoning on the new moon? I don't know. Maybe. I need to be out there after this is over and burn me a petition or two under the full moon. I don't know. We'll see. I know that's right. You are blessed, Caleb. Hey, Robin Williams Daniels, how are you? Welcome in and happy full moon to you. Hey, Joseph, welcome, welcome. What we're gonna talk about, y'all, today? Somebody already put a vote in for the new moon. I mean, for the Anunnaki. You know what, Stephen? I have been so bad. I have not been going outside lately. We had a notice at our condo unit that they spotted a coyote within the grounds of our condo unit, and I've been a chicken about going outside at night ever since. I used to go sit on the porch until 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes on the back patio, and I haven't been doing that since they spotted the coyote. But I'm gonna have to go out there tonight. Ooh, headlines! That's awesome. Hey, Dale Johnson, welcome in. Hey, Chance, and hey, John Wayne, welcome to all of you. Now we ain't calling out no Crips. I'm so sorry, John Wayne. I mean, if somebody want to go to your channel and rep that, that's fine. But I'm not gonna promise you I am. I don't do gangs at all. So sorry. You're north of Atlanta, Sage. I'm in Sandy Springs, so yeah. Hey, John Wayne. We'll have to see what's going on. Chance Long, you say you're a YouTuber too. I'm gonna write it down. I'm checking out the channels, y'all. I get nosy. I want to see what everybody else got going on too. Chance Long. Honestly, if I could save these chat notes, I don't know how to do it. Because if I could save the chat notes during the live stream, I'd go back and check out everybody's channel that comes in through here. I just can't. Joseph, no, I'm not. I mean, technically, I am. I'm not legally married, but I am involved with someone. It's a long distance scenario, but yeah, I don't think that I have headlines. In fact, I would probably remember if I had. I'm sure, but I'm writing it down now so I can. You nosy too, Chance. For real. In fact, I'm so tempted right now to crack open my laptop, but I can't. I mean, my tablet, but I can't do that. OSM Vision is an Anunnaki master teacher. Okay. Here's the thing, though, Stephen, and I'm more than willing to listen to what anybody has to say. But there's a lot of folks that are studying this stuff from a different aspect than I am. Even when it comes down to like Billy Carson And to some degree, when I was looking at Sitchin's work, but as it beautiful of a brother as he was, and thank God that he had the wherewithal and he was called to translate those things and all of that, he was looking at the translation under such a microscope that I'm not even sure he saw it from exactly the standpoint that Yeshua has shown it to me. Well, that's why I said we're gonna mention each other. We'll help each other get there. So Chance is saying he's trying to get to at least 50 subs so he can start live streaming. So guess what? We're gonna have to help Chance get there. Now there's only 6 of us in the room right now, but as the conversation um, ramps up, Chance, if you are able to stay in here later once the room gets more people in it, remind us again. But what's the name of your channel? Is it called Chance Long or is it something else? Name your channel, baby, so we can get on in there. Mika, you gonna stop the nonsense and get out of here because you don't know what I believe in, and you gonna come in with the disrespect. You will be silent immediately. I believe in Yeshua more than you do, I guarantee you. Because if you still in church talking about believing in Jesus, you ain't on the type of Yeshua time on. I promise you. You're playing a I don't know what FNAF, whatever that is. It's so sad to say, but I'm gonna find out. But I'm just saying, what's the name of your channel, my dear, so that we can look it up later. Hey, Ye Davids, welcome, welcome. And Days, I will definitely check it out. Then good, yeah. Because truthfully, I know that what I'm saying is a little different, and the church folks come in here and they want to have at me and all of that. But I also know that I'm not the only one that's being given this information because Yeshua is moving and speaking through the channels that are able to receive his energy and get that message out. So is Lord Enki, so is Thoth, so is Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael. That the message is going out amongst a lot of people. So yeah. Red Mendoza acted up before I could. He was whatever he said was so bad I couldn't even see it. She got rid of him before I could even see the message, which I ain't mad because I don't need that kind of negativity. We're here for something beautiful. Like I said, we're here to spread positivity and light and help wake folks up. People don't understand. I feel a sense of urgency with this message because no, I'm not worried about us going to heaven or going to hell. But if there is another cataclysm coming, and Lord Enki is going to spare those who are able to separate themselves from the Yahweh madness, then we need to get getting our minds right so we can separate from the Yahweh madness. That is the thing that's going to be the deciding factor as to who actually is preserved during this next reset and who is not. Hey, Megyan, how are you? Child, boo, what about him? As far as I'm concerned, I know good and full well whether he technically gets off or don't. All of the mess that they came up with, all of the evidence, and all of the people involved, that fool need to sit in jail till the rest of his life. He is not fit to be among society. Yeah, I said it with my whole chest, and I don't care who don't like it. He's a monster, and he's exactly where he need to be, unless they done messed around and let him out, and I don't know nothing about it. I can't advocate that kind of foolishness. Just because somebody shares my skin color does not mean they're a good person, and it don't mean that they need to be out and amongst society. Neither does it mean that somebody has a different skin color that I won't support them either. I stand behind what's good and right, regardless of who it is. Diddy ain't never did nothing for me, and everything I've ever heard about him was negative and nasty. So yeah, we don't do that. I'm good, baby. I'm doing real well, and I hope you are too. Yeah, you said you are. Yeah, exactly. He has made a choice. He is part of the machine. He's out there doing that same filthy nastiness that a lot of those folks in the industry are doing. They're out there harvesting loosh and all up on demon time for sure. They know what they're doing. They haven't been misled. They willingly serve the dragon, and I ain't got no time for none of that. Stephen Thoth said, he said he didn't, I don't have to think it. He said it directly in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. He said, "Builded I the Great Pyramid." He didn't leave no question about it. Yes, he built it. And we know if he built the pyramid in Giza, we know good and full well he built the pyramids over in the Mayan and Incan lands, because they have the same exact footprint as the Egyptian pyramids. It's just one is in that classic conical shape and the others are in a step format, but they all line up to the same constellations to the same degree and have the same exact measurements. They were absolutely built by the same person, and Thoth said it directly in the emerald tablets that he built them. And we know couldn't have no humans did it, because here we are sitting on thousands and thousands and thousands of years later, and they still ain't figured out how to build the pyramids. With all of our technology and all of our other stuff, they still can't do it. They were energy centers, they were communication towers. Um, yeah. When go back through the Lost Book of Enki, and of course the Emerald Tablets, you're gonna get something new every time you go through the Emerald Tablets. But they were talking about some of the centers that they had set up, the space stations, the way stations, and all of that sort of thing in the Lost Book of Enki. Spaceports is basically what they were. So yeah, they were absolutely hubs for a certain purpose, and I know they some of them were for about energy and communication and things like that. They were that way for a very specific reason. That nothing about the pyramids is accidental. It was all very intentional. The Nazca lines, very intentional. Jason Doan, don't come in here with that. He never said he was God. That's a lie. Yeshua said he was not God. He is an Elohim. He's El Shaddai, the son of the Elohim, or a powerful one. But we're not putting those Christian sky daddy funk up in here. Absolutely, Meg. And he was into sound and frequency and vibrational frequency and all that, because he mentions that in the Emerald Tablets when he was talking about making the pyramids, that there was an element of vibration and frequency involved as well. You know it has to be, just about, because okay, I believe I did get your email though, because I have you on the list. It's just, wait a minute. Yep, I know I got an email from you because you are on the email list. It's just that, like I said, by the time I finish with the full moon and Lionsgate reading, that reading went almost 2 hours, and that was a remake. So I it was really, by the time I finished, all told, I had about 4 hours involved in that one reading for the collective. So when I get offline tonight, I'm probably gonna stay up late and do some of the personal readings. And for sure, like I said, I was trying to make sure I can get them done before the weekend, maybe except the ones that came in within the last day or so. But I'm gonna work on them tonight and tomorrow so that I can hurry up and get them taken care of. Shaddai El Elyon. Yep, there you go. I was trying to warn them, but they want to keep on the foolishness. But yeah, head on out, baby doll, and I'll get your personal to you, and then of course you can check out whatever you missed in the live stream at another time. If you're still listening, Shaddai El Elyon, we're not doing that here, because the very fact that you got Shaddai El Elyon in your name lets me know you don't understand what you're reading in the scriptures. You do not understand to be making the types of statements that you're making. Okay, Robin Williams, good, good. For sure. We absolutely do. And we will. We will. But yeah, as far as Thoth, I'm so convinced, like super convinced, that Thoth and Yeshua are the same energy. the absolute same energy through different times and space, especially when you consider the fact that when Yeshua came back, he got baptized, he came in. The scriptures say when he was baptized that there was a voice heard from heaven. Now, the Elohim, the powerful ones, Yahweh forced that scenario, saying that we were never to see their faces, so they played along with them. Yeah, Meg, it is Christ consciousness to a degree, but it goes a little bit deeper than that, in my opinion, more than just Christ consciousness. There are lots of clues between the scriptures and the emerald tablets of Thoth that make me believe that it was actually Thoth himself reincarnate, dropped down into a physical body that was Yeshua HaMashiach. The similarities between the scriptures and the emerald tablets, even though the emerald tablets are like 30,000 years older than the scriptures, both of them refer to Thoth as the word and Yeshua as the word. Thoth as the son of man and Yeshua as the son of man. Thoth as the light of the world and Yeshua as the light of the world. Enki was Thoth's father, and Yeshua says his father is an Elohim, but it is not Yahweh. He specifically told the Jews that the Elohim that they were worshiping was not the Elohim that sent him, that his father was love. That points to Lord Enki. And if Gabriel came to Elizabeth and Zechariah and told them that they were going to have this special birth, and then 6 months later came to Mary and Joseph and told them they were going to have God's baby, this special birth, religion gives us that whole immaculate conception hoop-de-hoop lie, instead of wanting us to understand that that's artificial insemination. Just like he said in the lost book of Enki, how he created the Adamu from the beginning in the laboratory with artificial insemination and in vitro fertilization. Why do we rather want to revert back to an immaculate conception story when the messenger of the Elohim went directly to these people and said, you're going to have a baby that is not Zechariah's baby, but she ain't cheating on you, Zechariah. Don't get it twisted. This is a very special being that's going to come on the planet to pave the way for the Christ child, the one that's been prophesied about. So you don't need to divorce her. You don't need to beat her. You don't need to worry about nothing. This is God's baby that's fitting to be brought. He's going to be special. He can't have strong drink. He's going to be a prophet or to pave the way for the Messiah. And then 6 months later, he visits Mary and Joseph and had the same exact conversation with them. There's nothing immaculate about that conception. It's just not a human conception. They did, Stephen. They had the rejuvenation chambers. Donut-shaped ring stage. Look up toroidal energy, because it, like I said, and a lot of even the things that were not specifically ring shaped, when put together, would still form that toroidal energy. And that is a source of free power that is available on the planet even now. That's one of the reasons the powers that be will not allow that technology to get out there. Fact of the matter, years ago, there was a documentary that was put out by one of the guys. He was an heir to the Gillette fortune, I think, the razor people. And he kind of stepped away from his family wealth and produced this documentary talking about free energy on the planet and talking about how energy forms the toroid, and it could, yeah. Absolutely, Sage E. That's why I said it makes way more sense than Invisible Sky Daddy came down and touched her and she just had this immaculate conception. No, that don't make sense at all. Hi, Yvonne Farah. I haven't been able to find that documentary lately. You know how I get on YouTube some stuff to get really, really good, get really, really gone. So if I ever find it again, I will definitely share it, but I haven't been able to find it. Tabitha Walters, yeah, honestly, there are people out here that would like to argue that Yeshua isn't real. However, there were so many people in the East that have information and history about him that to me it's just the Bible thumper, or it's not even the Bible thumpers because they want to say he was real. It's the people that are trying to disprove the Bible that are saying that Yeshua isn't real. I say he was absolutely real. He just wasn't up to what they say he was up to in the Bible. Christianity tries to tell us that he was sent here to be a propitiatory sacrifice. He was sent here deliberately to shed his blood to buy back our sins and all of that. And they knit him in the middle of this Yahweh worship lie. He wasn't trying to point nobody to Yahweh. He was trying to get people away from Yahweh worship. That's why they killed him. But Yvonne, we can't read that language and it can't translate it. So I'm gonna need you to translate the English, my dear, because we won't be able to hear what you're saying. Exactly, Meg Yon. They know that Mother Mary, was also a Wiccan high priestess. Um, Yeshua was in Ireland. Yeshua went through the Silk Road. He was all up in Pakistan and India, in down in Ethiopia. He done been some of everywhere, and they got stories all over the planet of where he was during that time. As Christians, that want to play crazy and act like they don't know where he was. From the age of 12, when he left Israel for 18 years, he was moving around the planet, and Christianity don't mention one word about that. But again, that should let you know that they try to say that he's the most important person that ever walked on this planet, and he's central to that religion, supposedly. Behind the hell that they lose track of him for 18 whole years if he's supposedly the Messiah, the Christ child, and is central to the salvation of the planet. But he was so much pressure on the priests till they completely forgot all about him. He dropped off the face of the earth, let the Christians tell it, from the age of 12 all the way up to the age of 30. And when he came back in town at the age of 30, they was immediately on his behind trying to kill him. They several times in the scriptures it said that they were seeking him out. They wanted to stone him several times. And they finally got so mad when he told them, "You don't know my father. You worship your father, the devil." And then he went in there and said, "You make father's house a den of thieves." He braided a whip and whipped the money changers out the temple. And that's when they got so mad that they delivered him up to the Romans. They didn't want to bloody their own hands by taking his life. So they put the Romans up to doing it for him. And thank you, merchandiser. I appreciate it. Absolutely. I'm going to check your channel out too. Absolutely, Megyon and Stephen. That's the people want to act like. Well, again, we get this story that Ponce de Leon discovered America. I still want to know how you discovered something that was already full of people. It was plenty of people here when they got here, plenty of them. And the Grand Canyon full of pyramids and Anunnaki writings, and they got Olmec heads all over the country. It's pyramids all over the U.S., pyramids all over Asia. It's probably pyramids in Siberia if you can get up under the ice to see it. They're everywhere. Of course, it manifestation works, Argam. It does. It's just that most people are very sloppy in their focus, so they keep manifesting the same mess they don't want. Especially if you come at it like that, you don't think it works. If you don't think it works, it won't work for you. It does work for you, but what you're going to keep manifesting is I don't have, because you don't believe it works. So what you're going to keep manifesting is the absence of the thing that you wish, because you believe in the absence of what you wish more than you believe in the coming of it into being. But we are powerful manifestors. Anything that we focus our attention towards eventually is magnetized towards us, including lack, poverty, violence, and war. That's one of the reasons the powers that be keep all of that shit on TV in front of us. The programming is real. And when people believe in poverty and war, we continue to manifest poverty and war. What? I don't know what you're talking about, Angela, but you about to get out of here with foolishness. No, we talk. You know why you talk, Tabitha? We're gonna talk about this for a minute. You know why you're taught to say the blood of Jesus? Because that's a binding spell, a blood sacrifice. That is satanic ritual wrapped up in the name of religion. That's why Christianity teaches you to call upon the blood of Jesus, because they literally spilled his blood and then convinced everybody that that was a good thing. They did black magic on that man, a curse. Daniel says any man that's hung from a tree is cursed. And if you leave him on that tree past sunset, the land is cursed. And anybody that's following along with that stuff is cursed. Even the Apostle Paul said, that, oh, Jesus was so kind to bear the curse for us. But Christianity done bamboozled the world into keeping them blood rituals and them satanic, demonic curses and witchcraft and black magic alive in the name of religion. So they tell you to call on the blood of Jesus so you can help keep that mess alive and keep you and your family tied up in blood ritual and black magic curses. That's why. The pastor ain't never gonna tell that. Half of these pastors don't even know, because in America, at least, the vast majority of preachers are lay preachers. They ain't never set foot in seminary. They just had a feeling in their heart, and their grandmama plunked their little booties down in a chair, and they figured out that having a church could get them some money. So they grabbed a Bible and learned how to give it a charismatic speech and rhyme scheme, and how to hoop and yell and stir up the crowd. And they keep teaching them same old demonic lies that they've been hanging on to, and they don't know the truth. No, if there is power in a name, it would be Yeshua's name. When you say Jesus, you're calling hail Zeus, which goes right back to Yahweh. Zeus is one of Yahweh's names. It ain't got shit to do with Yeshua HaMashiach, nothing. And when you end a prayer with Amen, you are saying a binding spell back to Amun Ra, who is Marduk, who is Yahweh's nephew. Yahweh and Marduk was two of the nastiest Anunnaki, the nastiest Elohim that ever walked this planet. They were such bad actors that they were both exiled twice by their own people. And when they came out of exile, they didn't learn nothing from it. They were still on that nastiness. They were nothing nice at all. They hate humanity. They felt like we are little more than animals. We're supposed to be slaves, and they do not have our any good intentions for us at all. The woman is Bike King. You have no idea what you talking. You talking some elementary nonsense, for real. Exactly. They say they don't follow the law. They don't follow the law. But here's the thing, Sonic LeBlue. If you say it sounds and feels right, okay. If if you really understood Yahweh worship, Christianity is setting Christians up for the okie doke anyway. If you choose as a Christian, you're not worshiping Yahweh under the name Yahweh. You're now calling him Jehovah, but it's the same being, okay? Yahweh told the nation of Israel that they were to keep his laws forever. He never released them from the law. And when anybody would come into the nation of Israel, if they wanted to become a spiritual Israelite, they would accept foreigners into their land and into their religion. But to be accepted into their religion, they had to follow the same laws that the Israelites followed. So think about it. Even Yeshua, the last thing he did before they strung him up was they talk about the Last Supper. He was keeping the Passover meal. Now, in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they'll tell you that he instituted a new covenant and said, "This means my blood and this means my flesh," and all that. The funny thing about those three gospels, though, none of them people ever actually met Yeshua. And those gospels were written 60 to 110 years after Yeshua was supposedly unalived during that event. Now, why is it that they would wait damn near 100 years to write the story about what happened, and then all three of those gospels turn around and tell that story almost word for word verbatim? That's a clue right there in the scriptures that those three gospels are a lie. The Gospel of John, on the other hand, is written by his cousin, John the Baptist, who actually met and walked with Yeshua and is very conspicuously silent about this new ritual of the drinking of the flesh and the drinking of the blood and the eating of the flesh. That doesn't appear in the Gospel of John at all. So when Yeshua was actually doing the Passover meal, the instructions to the nation of Israel was they were to keep the Passover forever. So Christians today that think that they are relieved from the Passover and still pleasing to Yahweh are fooling themselves. I mean, it don't make no difference because we ain't going to hell, but they're not truly serving God the way he said to serve him. Yeah, Big Boss. One of his first miracles was feeding the fish to the bread and the loaves to the group. He didn't say there was no reason he couldn't eat meat. Now, as an Essene, he probably didn't eat as much as most people did, because he was not a practicing Jew like an Ashkenazi or whatever the Jewish word that he was addressing in the scriptures. Yeshua was an Edomite, maybe, but for sure he was an Essene, which was a whole different branch of Judaism. Very um, peaceful, very, very much not on Yahweh time at all. The Trinity is not actually it's not actually a real thing. If you really, really read your Bible, it's not in the Bible. The idea of the Trinity is a pagan concept that Christianity included. But truthfully, it was the reason for the Trinity teaching is to remove feminism from the religion. Religions were very much in awe and included the divine feminine in much of the world during that time. But in the idea, it should have been if they were trying to keep femininity in it, would have been the Father, the Mother, and the Son. But Christianity came along talking about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit to cut the divine feminine out of religion. But it's not actually a biblical concept. It's a pagan concept that was brought into Christianity through dogma and then laced into it for so long that it became doctrine. There is a difference. According to the church, anything that they hold on to for 200 years as dogma becomes doctrine. Don't have to be the truth. They just have to hold on to that lie for 200 years, and then that's what it is. If people following Paul, they following the Antichrist, though, Sonic LeBlue. Yeshua said that after they unalived him, there would come along one that would be basically lead humanity astray for thousands of years. A deceiver would come in their midst. And 100 years after Yeshua was supposed to have been executed, along comes Paul with that fantabulous lie at the beginning of Romans or Acts or whatever it was, where he claimed he met Yeshua on the road to Damascus and had this wonderful revelation. That's a bald-faced lie. He never laid eyes on Yeshua. He was a bitter persecutor of the Jews, though. He hated Yeshua and everything he stood for. But when it was time to create this new religion, the First Council of Nicaea thought it'd be kind of cool to put that in there. 90% of the New Testament is written by this Paul cat, and he spends most of that time in the New Testament telling all of those congregations who used to believe in Yeshua that they was doing it wrong, they wasn't shit, and this is the way we're gonna move forward now. He came in doing a whole lot of self-aggrandizing, braggadocious stuff because he declared himself an apostle and claimed that he was supposed to be the new cornerstone of the church, and they taking a new direction. But Jesus never said none of that. That's a lie. Courtesy of Emperor Constantine. Tiberius was the emperor who unalived Yeshua. 300 years later, Constantine wrote Christianity at the First Council of Nicaea. They got all of their texts together and put all of their stuff in it and brought in beliefs from all kinds of pagan religions all over everywhere. And then turned around and sold that lie to the world and got people still hoodwinked and bamboozled into it. Hey, Antoine. What's up? What's up? Exactly, Sonic LeBlue. Almost everything that we've been given by religion, we've been given a black mirror. It's almost exact opposite for real. They paint the devil, like I said, Yahweh claims that Satan, the devil, is so evil, but the scriptures don't even let you know Satan, the devil, is Yahweh. That's number one. And the one that was trying to help and tell the truth, Yahweh got so mad because Enki told Eve the truth. And that whole act of Eve learning the truth and turning off her worship gene, let them tell it, is the reason why we got to be sick and die. The reason why they needed to kill Yeshua. The reason why all of the troubles on the planet, let them tell it, is they put everything on the fact that Eve found out the truth instead of the real truth being told that Enlil was mad as hell because Eve found out the truth and demanded that our telomeres be capped so that we wouldn't live very long, and then kicked them out the garden so they could not get access to the tree of life. That's the truth. It ain't got nothing to do with us being sinful and dirty and all that. They tell you that to keep you stuck and in feeling a need to serve and bow and scrape and worship. You said, what now? He'll return with a sword instead of words and cleanse the evil of the earth. Big boss, in a way, yeah. Now, maybe not literally. Again, we have to realize revelation was given as a dream to John. But in Revelation, it does say that Archangel Michael and Yeshua do ride out with the four horsemen and quite a few of the angels that come to run through, and they clean house. They kick ass. And at the end of it, they round up that devil and Satan, that Yahweh, and he is deposed completely. And in Revelation chapter 21, after Yahweh, Satan, is deposed, in Revelation 21, a more peaceful Elohim comes down from heaven with a base camp, this new Jerusalem, and has a peaceful reign with humanity and gets rid of all of the troubles. They come through and clean house. You see whether we have to question whether he represented Yeshua or replaced him. He tried to replace him, but again, they can only hold the lie for so long. It's been 2,500 years of Yahwistic lies and rule on this earth, either through Judaism, Islam, or Christianity. It is time for that pain, that chain of pain, that lie legacy to be done with. That's what we're here for. You said Isaiah 65, 66:15. Let's look at it and see what you're talking about. See what you're working with. Excuse me. Oh, okay. Isaiah 66:15 says, "For behold, the Lord will come in fire, and his chariots like the whirlwind, to render his anger and fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire will the Lord enter into judgment, and by his sword with all flesh, and those slain by the Lord will be many." But you have to stop and real wonder, and I'd have to read the whole chapter to get the proper context as to which Elohim this is referring to. In the scriptures we hear the Lord God, and God all the time in there, but Elohim is a plural term. So Yahweh do be threatening to come in and kill everybody and ride with this, and he do show up in the smoke and the fire and the whirlwind. That's a spaceship, by the way. But he does do a lot of promising to unalive people. But at the end of the day, if the ones that he can promise to do all of that to other people, but at the end, the very end of the book, it says that he gonna be put down like the rabbit dog he is. I'm glad you found me too, Crowley, and happy full moon to you, and peace to you too, brother. They teach a lot of stuff, Sonic LeBlue. They teach a lot of stuff in the scriptures like it's all good. They be sitting there talking about the story about Abraham taking Isaac up on the mountain to sacrifice him like that's a beautiful thing. They turn around and tell that story about the exodus of the Jews from Egypt and all the people and animals that got killed up in the middle of Yahweh's mess like that's a beautiful thing. They don't never give you the rest of the context of the story. Oh Lord, Saul was in here. I didn't even see that. Oh Lord. And blessings to you, Stacy Cruz, as well. Hey Dylan. I hope you're doing better today. Blessed blessings. Dylan, if you back in here on some foolishness, you'll be silenced. I don't know what you got going on, bro, but I honestly would highly recommend you go somewhere and get some therapy. I'm not joking. Because yesterday I thought it was a fluke or maybe you was high or something like that, but none of you're saying is making any sense. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just really more of a distraction than it is an actual point of conversation at this point. Thank you, Patricia Chetty. Chetty. I appreciate you. You have a blessed night too, darling. You off to the 3D to deal with life? Absolutely. Catch you on the next one. Have a great evening, Meg Yan. Let me see. I'm trying to. Okay. Oh, let me also say, I do notice over the last couple of days, there have been a few folks that bought me a coffee. So definitely thank you for those who did. I'm gonna have to go back through my email so I can individually shout you out on another video or on another live. But I genuinely appreciate you. If you're interested in doing that, like I said, I'm giving freely here. It's not required, but I don't mind mentioning I do have a buy me a coffee link in my about page on the channel. So if you feel inclined to do that, it would be greatly appreciated. Truthfully, I'm at a point now where I'm trying to make this my full-time job. So it's going to have to pick up a little bit more than what it has been. You know what? It's so weird though, because I noticed over the past 30 days, 180,000 people connected with my channel long enough for YouTube to count it as a view. Now, obviously, the vast majority of those people didn't stay, but 180,000 people touched this content enough to be counted as a view. I was sitting there thinking, if even a third of them people bought me a coffee, then yes, I could consider this my full time job. I'd be able to chill. Truthfully, I'd be on my way to trying to figure out how to get things lined up for our next adventure at some of the temples over in Japan or where have you. Because I'm taking y'all on that trip with us. We're going to go. I mean, maybe not physically, but I will vlog it and let you see it. Absolutely, Patricia. I am doing well. I mean, it's going to get there in time because, like I said, as much as I was being hard headed for a while, and I still find myself looking for a job because financially it gets tough, and the bill collectors are calling, and I'm a little stressed, but I'm trying not to stress because there's a reason why I'm not getting the job. There's a reason why, I know I'm qualified. Now, I am at an age where it does make it hard, especially if you have been out of work for a while. I'm not of a competitive age in the workplace anymore. So, and knowing what I'm looking for, is making it a little difficult. But that's one of the reasons I thought, you know what, let me be more active on the channel. I may even start streaming on like Rumble or Twitch or something where that sort of thing is more easily compensated. Because I had people coming in telling me, they look like, oh, well, what's wrong? And I'm like, TD Jakes and all of them don't have no qualms whatsoever about that. First of the matter, they'll make you pay 10% of your income to come park in their churches and in their whatever, and they're gonna pass the plate until they get exactly what they want out of you. So it's not wrong for me to ask that if people find value in it. A cup of coffee is like $3, but if 25% of the people that benefit from my content were willing to buy me a cup of coffee, that's a full-time job. I ain't gonna get rich, but I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, let me put myself out there and let it be known that that's because it's not inappropriate. Beyonce tickets is $2,000. And I feel like the information we discuss here on this channel is way hella more important than anything Beyonce got to say out her mouth. In fact, at them concerts and stuff, all of those people are doing is paying $2,000 to become energetic fodder for demons. They harvest loose and shit at them concerts. That whole hive mentality. She even called her people a hive. That's what witches call the coven of the actual witches is a coven, but the people that follow witches are a hive, and people are willing to pay $2,000 to go plunk down in there and see and watch her for 2 hours. So I was like, yeah, no, it's not inappropriate for me to advertise my coffee link at all. I'm trying very hard, Patricia, but again, every day I have to put my phone on silent because the bill collectors are calling. I got laid off in December, and I thought I was going to be able to start a business, but I didn't quite have enough funding to do that with. And I've been applying for jobs and applying for jobs. I want to work from home so that I can still continue to do this. I truthfully don't want a job. I'm applying for jobs because I feel a responsibility to pay my bills, but truthfully, I would love to be able to have enough supporters that I can get in there and do my Reiki infused candles and jewelry and sit down and do my homework and all that stuff and just put out content full time. That's what I ultimately want to do. But hey, cool guy, and thank you so much. You said TD Jakes ain't shit. I agree with you, Antoine, but I'm just saying, people pay them cats millions and millions of dollars. They got private jets and everything, and nobody thinks that that's inappropriate. But every time I come on a live stream, I get somebody in here claiming, throwing the word scammer around or saying that I'm wrong to, and I ain't even charging nobody for that. You know what I'm saying? But even when I was doing the tarot, everybody and his mama wants a free reading. But the moment I advertise my coffee link, people start hollering about scammer, and I'm like, y'all don't even understand what it takes to keep your energy this high enough to consistently read for a collective. That takes some work. I understand that, Patricia, but I done lost pretty much everything I can lose. My big tower hit several years ago, so I'm not even complaining about any of that. I've accepted it. I understood why it was being stripped away and all the rest of that, but I also understand that for the next phase of my life to move forward, it does require some financing. And, those little things like groceries. Fortunately, I have a beautiful friend who I have a place to live. I'm not stressed for any of that. I'm not upset about any of that stuff. But I do have to maintain some kind of daily life. I'm not, like I said, I'm not out trying to figure out how to get rich. I got some business ideas for some online business stuff that if I get the seed capital, I believe I know how to grow it. but I do have to have enough to actually start some things with. That's part of it. Exactly, Brittany. And it will happen. It will happen, but it's taking some time. That's all. You said it may look like it's almost impossible to survive. Yeah, it will happen in time. Shaddai El Elyon, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not gossiping if I'm telling my truth, and this is my channel. So if you don't like what we're discussing, you're more than willing to able to just scroll, bro. Greetings, Daisy Duke. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you. I appreciate you. It well, I realize some folks that have established channels do make a good amount of money reading, and eventually I will. That's what I'm saying. It can happen. It hasn't so far. I've gotten a few paid readings and a few donations, and I'm grateful for those, but it's definitely gonna have to become more consistent than what I've been doing so far in order for me to actually consider it a viable income. I literally at this point, I haven't even made enough to pay one car note yet. Through all the time that I've been reading, I can genuinely say, regardless of what the model of the car was, we ain't even talking about a Mercedes note. We talk about a Taurus or whatever. I have, so it will come in time, but yeah, I'm just getting started and it's a little bit scary. Hey, Christy Prince, how are you? But I do appreciate the encouragement as far as, and again, I realize part of it is because I had to become confident enough in myself. And that was one of the reasons I started coming live like that. And when I did that little tarot marathon, because I wanted to make sure that I was ready to read for the collective like that. I mean, I had been doing collective readings, uploading them, but I had never read live for people that I don't know. So that was a very good learning experience for me. And it helped with the learning curve to a degree because I think through the course of that week or two, I probably did about 200 readings overall. So I know I'm ready at this point. So I just got to get my schedule together and put myself out there. That's all. And I do. I'll get it. I'll get it. Oh, hey, that's right, girl. Make that money. Make that money, honey. I'm glad you got a job that you can listen in at. That's what I was mentioning, Brittany. Over the last 30 days, there have been 180,000 people that have connected with my content long enough for YouTube to count it as a view. So I was like, I know the vast majority of those people probably watched for a couple of minutes and then scrolled on. But if 20 to 30% of them even did the $3 or $5 coffee, I'd be straight. You know what I'm saying? Straight. Even if 10% of them did that, I would be straight. But it'll happen, and it will, because I have seen readers that, for example, Tarot Priest, she's not doing like actively reading anymore, but she had grown her channel to, I think, almost 300,000. And the last few times she jumped on a live, I literally sat there and watched that girl get through, even through like the super chat and the super stickers and stuff. It was like that. It was coming in, so it'll come. It will. Said people are doing one free yes or no reading for deeper. Yeah. And that's what I thought about, or even doing like a little 10-minute mini read for like $11, things like that. Yeah, it'll happen. That was a lot, Sage. And again, I did it because I put myself out there and said I would do it, but I won't ever go that hard again. It literally took me out of the zone for about a week. I had to recover. And it wasn't that I felt bad. I wasn't under attack or anything. But when you got that many energies that you're reading for running through the aftermath. As long as I kept going, I was fine. But when I stopped, my battery went all the way flat. So yeah, I don't think I want to do a marathon quite like that anymore. And first of all, I can't, because it would be disrespectful to the other tarot readers here. I can't give that level of readings for free on a consistent basis, because why would anybody ever go to the paid readers if I'm gonna sit here and give away the entire farm all day, every day, weeks and months on end? They wouldn't. I couldn't support myself, and I would be taking support away from other readers, because they genuinely, like I said, if you've answered the call and you're doing what spirit is telling you to do, and you made this your full-time gig to serve a collective, you're supposed to be compensated for it. So yeah, I won't do that again. It was literally a one-time thing, as a thank you for helping me get to 1,000 subscribers. Let's get back to something cool to talk about. I would say we all got to consider money to a degree, but that ain't really what I want to talk about here. Mm-mm-mm. I'm actually also considering, if I don't know if who's going to be interested and whatnot, but I'm considering opening up like a one-on-one, like a little, maybe a mentoring or spiritual coaching, like a package type thing where you could have like 20 or 30-minute sessions, or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever, 30-minute sessions with me to ask whatever questions you want, one-on-one Bible study, Anunnaki, whatever it is. Excuse me. Hey, Axis, how are you? Welcome in, and happy full moon to you, and happy Lionsgate, all of those goodies. Good, Daisy Duke. I'm glad you like the idea of that. I've thought about going on Patreon. I didn't know if it would be of a benefit, but I may consider it. I'm gonna look into several different things and see. Rumble, Patreon, something. I don't know if Telegram would be of any benefit, but it's just trying to figure out how to compartmentalize the time so that I'd be doing like different content for each one. That's a lot. I'm gonna have to work on like managing my time a little better. I've got an Instagram, but I don't really go on there much. I have a hard time uploading stuff to Instagram. I be trying to make videos, and the way my ADHD is set up, if I try to upload it 4 or 5 times and it keeps giving me an error message, I'd be like, the hell with it, and I go on about my business. That's kind of what happened with me and Instagram. It's like every other time I got about a 50% shot of getting something uploaded to Instagram, and then half the time it doesn't. I didn't even know Patreon did a whole lot with readers and readings, but I will definitely look into it, Brittany, for sure. I even thought about going on Etsy, but I just didn't want to be in there doing $5 readings. I don't know what those girls are putting out there, but um, honestly, Axis, I've heard people say they can't read for themselves. I don't know why. I mean, enough people have said it that maybe it's true for them. I can read myself, or have read for myself. Now, what I will say though, the reason I think I can read for myself is because when I was learning to read tarot, I also allowed myself to be led to other readers that spirit was leading me to for confirmation. So I would do my own spreads, and I remember the cards that I would see, but I would also be led to some super spiritual tarot readers. And in listening to their spreads, I was hearing how we would. I've had readings, and I kid you not, this is so goosebumpy, but I've had readings where if I sat down and did a huge spread for myself, one of the ones that I really remembered, in fact, I wasn't even at this table. I was sitting I had my desk in the other room in the kitchen at the time, and it was before I really started getting active with the channel. But I had done a reading where I had pulled about 55 cards in the course of that reading for myself. And I went and listened to a reader. In fact, it was Dream Clairvoyant was the reader that had done the reading. And in her reading that she pulled, 45 of the 50 cards that she pulled matched my cards, same exact cards. So I was able to get not only what I got out of the reading, but her interpretation of the reading as well. I It was crazy that that happened that way, but yeah. Understood. And again, if you can't, if you don't feel like you can read for yourself, then don't. As long as you can get them information for other people, because you're not the only one, Access. I've heard a lot of people say that you can't read for yourself, but because I genuinely don't try to read anything extra in the cards. In fact, now I will say sometimes it's harder for me to get the message. For example, around that same time with the 45 cards matching out of 50 something that I mentioned, that same reader, I did a reading for my ex, and he popped up out the blue. It was I kind of figured it was a spiritual test, but I did the reading anyway, and the message that I got. And then she turned around and did a reading, and she gave me even more depth into that reading. Um, but I was missing some stuff. And truthfully, I didn't miss it all the way, because every time I would pick up this Romance Angels deck, this one right here, every time I would handle this deck, whether I was reading for myself or somebody else, release your ex would come flying up out this deck. And I'm like, what do you mean release my ex? I wasn't dealing with any of them sexually. I had broke up with them. None of the, but I've talked about it on the channel, and you can go and check some of the older videos I did. I was an absolute fool, y'all, because I've always been an easygoing person, and I treated people better than they treated me, and I was trying not to be hateful and trying to get along for the sake of my children, blah, 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 blah. I literally had 4 exes hanging in my energy. Well, 3 exes and a friend, a very toxic friend with a crush on me, hanging in my energy for years. Years. And again, I had forgiven them, and I didn't want no reconciliation with them, so I wasn't even really thinking about that. But I ain't think about the fact they wasn't trying to do right by me romantically when they had me. They still wasn't doing right by me later on. They were literally just using me for armchair psychology and the trauma dump on me in their life. They wanted to keep me in their energy so that they could feed off my energy. One of them even told me, please don't cut me out your life. I need your energy in my life. But they didn't want to do right by me romantically or otherwise. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. You be doing armchair psychology for the longest for other people. It is harder for yourself. And if that's the case, Access, don't push it. Don't try to stress it. If you can't read for yourself, don't worry about it. Oh, Tabitha, thank you, my dear. I just saw your coffee. Appreciate you. Oh, absolutely, Daisy. I kept seeing release your ex, and I thought I had released them all, but I had this one that was hanging in there. And again, when he came back into my life, this particular one had dumped me very unceremoniously. Didn't even do it on in person. Dumped me over a phone call while I was at a basketball game for my son years ago. This was, like I said, this was years ago, literally like probably 15 years ago now that we dated and whatever. We dated for almost 2 years, and he dumped me at the over the basketball game. We kind of strayed away from each other, and then I didn't have no hard feelings. He had asked me to go back with him, but I was like, no, because it's a long story for the reasons why I couldn't. But main reason was he had always kind of downplayed my spiritual gifts, and he couldn't hear me. He was so stubborn. He thought he had all the answers, and he was so wise. He was one of them that's all into Christianity and blah, blah, blah. But he was so wise and so spiritual, and I didn't know nothing because I was the reprobate, even though my clairaudience was kicking in. But he wouldn't listen. And because he didn't listen to me, he literally missed out on a $238 million lawsuit. And I tried to tell him he was going to mess that thing up if he didn't take it. but he didn't want to listen, and he lost the suit. That's not the only reason why I didn't take him back. Truthfully, I never should have been with the dude in the first place. And when he broke up with me, when I got over my initial pride being hurt at being dumped, I was so glad that fool had broke up with me. I wouldn't take him back for all the tea in China, but I allowed him back in my life in the friend zone years later because he came to me in a time of need, and I was in my kumbaya spiritual journey working on unconditional love and forgiveness and blah blah blah. So I wasn't emotionally hurt no more about him dumping me. I was grateful, so I let him back in the friend zone. I ain't know that fool was a warlock that was literally trying to do binding spells to keep me from getting in touch with my divine counterpart, because he was just spiritual enough and had just enough sight. He knew where I was headed spiritually even before I did. He told me that he was like, one of these days, you don't even understand. You're going to be a teacher. He was like, you got the potential to be like a Dalai Lama or Minister Farrakhan or whatever. And I'd be like, boy, go ahead on. What you talk about? Whatever. But he saw that and he wanted to hitch onto the coattails, even if it meant keeping me single and miserable and away from my true counterpart, so that he could stay in there in the friend zone. Hey, Roy Johnson, welcome in, welcome in. But yeah, once I got that message of release your ex, I was sitting out one Sunday. Shortly after that, I was meditating. I was in with the divine mother and the angel. I was having a good time out in the backyard. And then all of a sudden, the ancestors crashed that meditation and they let me know he's not what you think he is. Get away from him. Do not contact him no more. You don't even worry about feeling bad. I'm trying to tell you. And they showed me the spell work and I mean, then it was like I got information on how to do the spiritual baths and the cord cuttings and the cleansings and all the rest of that stuff. But yeah, it took me several months of, doing the work to get that energy up off my neck. What do I know about Cancer women in love? I am a Cancer woman, boo. If you get you a good one, hey, the Queen of Cups, she just mushy ushy gushy. She's one with the cup of love in the tarot. That's a Cancer card, the Queen of Cups. Now, truthfully, you really, really probably want one with a little bit of Queen of Swords or Queen of Wands mixed in with her, or a little High Priestess, Empress type energy. But oh, you're welcome, Daisy. And again, I share that stuff just to be transparent because I know a lot of people are going through the same kinds of stuff. These energy vampires will latch onto you because it's a super common theme in the matrix right now. We are closing a lot of karmic cycles, and so you start seeing that kind of stuff over and over again. And I know I'm not the only one to be going through that kind of stuff. And especially if you're an imbalanced empath that was too nice for your own good, oh, they will never let go of you. Your energy is delicious, honey. They ain't not gonna voluntarily let you go. They'll hang on for years and years, and it don't matter if they won't take them back romantically. They want to be in your energy field, even if they can't get in your bed. So yeah. Oh yes, you can disconnect from her axis. You can disconnect from her, cut her loose physically, cut her loose energetically. You're gonna probably have to go through several spiritual baths, do some cord cutting meditations, cord cutting rituals. Go in, ask Archangel Michael when you do it, take your shower, run your spiritual bath, and sit there in prayer and visibly see yourself. In fact, don't cord cut. When you get ready to do them, cut cords can grow back. Visualize yourself literally wiggling that cord out. Don't snatch it out, but you know how when you get something with tweezers, if you snatch it too fast, you can break the hair off at the root and then you got that mess to deal with again. But if you pull it slowly and steadily, you can wiggle it out by the root. Envision yourself wiggling it out by the root. If you know you don't want to be dealing with her, and you talking about what if you falling in love with her, now you got to make a decision. You can't keep sipping the poison and think that you ain't gonna be affected. If the woman is dangerous and you know you don't want her energy around her, then you need to cut her loose and go on about your business, because she could be doing binding spells on you. I don't know whether she has or hasn't. Bye, Katarina. You don't know the spiritual deception you in, but we've been talking about that. You might want to come back and watch this later on, because the fact that you in here spewing scripture at me and from Deuteronomy, and I know the scripture you're talking about, but you still have no idea what you're involved in, my love. You're the one that's caught up in some binding stuff that you don't know nothing about. Hey, Mustafa, how are you? It makes me wonder. No, I don't wonder. I do understand how and why they do it. But again, how dare they? You know what I'm saying? It's very presumptuous on the part of anyone to assume anything. That lady don't know me from a can of paint. She don't know who I am, what I believe in, what I worship, or anything else. So to come in and automatically start spewing, yeah. Well, Axis, okay. If you physically touched her and you felt her heart and she's pure, then what are you scared for? Are you still not done your shadow work? So you're afraid of an actual pure being that might actually love you? Are you still so damaged that you can't accept the fact that you probably have manifested a real love, and maybe you're at a point in your ascension journey that is actually coming into you? What are you afraid of? And Mustafa, I'm not sure what kind of support you feel like you need from me, but if you're sitting there in tears, honey, I suggest you go and either call a crisis hotline or a medical professional or whatever it is that you need. I am a spiritual teacher, I am a tarot reader, but if you are sitting here at the point of in tears needing support, I'm probably not the one for you at this moment. Is she married, Axis? Don't matter how many kids she got, as long as they're not so old and disrespectful that you're gonna have a hard time integrating into her life. Um, but is she married? Again, it don't matter if that's your divine counterpart. It's going to happen when you don't expect it. Is she married? That's what I want to know. Boy, bye. I'm not doing no green card foolishness. Are you out your mind? No, bye. That's just laziness. You don't know me from a can of paint. You gonna come in my live stream talking about you want me to invite you to the. I don't know you. How am I gonna invite you to my country? You should be very afraid to be having strangers invite you someplace. That's a good way to get traffic, brother. Okay, she's 44. She's not married. Hey, Wavelength, how are you? He said, "Hey, mom, sup? Is this Tony?" No, I know. People call me mom. A lot of different people call me mom. Just joking. Um, Honestly, Axis, I think you need to have a come to Jesus meeting with yourself. That's what I think. Because it sounds to me like she's not the problem. It sounds like you are. You too busy trying to crucify her by the last partner's sins. She's an amazing woman. She's got a pure heart. You done touched her physically and her energy, and she's pure. And you feel like you fallen in love with her, but you want somebody to come and talk you out of it for what? You running from your own demons. It ain't got nothing to do with her, bro. Again, why are you worried about it then? Hey, Connor, and hey, Wavelength. And I'm sorry that you're sad, Wavelength. Hopefully, if you stay here around here long enough, you'll feel better. Unless you want a green card too, in which case you're going to get kicked out of here too. But I'm just saying. Honestly, Axis, did you know her husband before he passed? And why does she feel that way? Then if you know she ain't ready, leave her alone. What's for you will come to you, and you can't rush it anyway. Go on about your business. If you know she's not ready and you know you ain't ready, leave her alone. She's right. All y'all gonna do is hurt each other. But if her husband came to you in a dream, like Brittany said, meditate on it. Because everything that come to you in a dream ain't of the light. That's all I'm gonna say on that one. But only you'll know over time. I cannot tell you what to do in that. But if you know you're not ready and she's telling you she ain't ready, and she's telling you that all you gonna do by falling in love with her is get hurt, and you scared you gonna get hurt, that's your answer. You don't need nobody to go and tell you nothing different than that. Because I could tell you right now, oh yeah, go ahead on and do it, and then you're gonna blame me when you go and get your heart broken, like you don't, like both of y'all are predetermined it's gonna happen. Again, it doesn't matter what he decided. He may know something that y'all don't know. He may feel like you're a good guy and a good match for her. But if she's still hung up on whatever she chooses to be hung up on, and you're still hung up on whatever you choose to be hung up on, it really don't matter what spirit line up for you if you won't allow yourself to receive it. And you're sitting here arguing for yourself, for your limitations, saying that you're not ready to receive what spirit is trying to give you, and neither is she. So leave it alone. If it's still a viable option when y'all are ready, cool, you can do it then. But right now, with the way y'all thinking about it and the way you're sitting here arguing for it, it can't work because you both been made up in your minds that it's not going to work. Wavelength agreeing. Somebody right before you came in here was talking about wanting me, they were needing my help, wanting me to invite them into my country. I live in the United States, so in our country a green card is basically what will allow you to stay for an extended period in this country and work. And I don't have the juice to even do that, but I never met that person a day in my life, so I told him he was foolish and he should get up off of here with that. So I was just wondering if you came in around the same time. That's why I said that. Yeah, you definitely need to meditate. You may need some therapy, uh, all of that stuff, access, because it really does sound like you saying it's a kind of a long story. Again, that's the very last thing y'all need to do is be laid up together. Do not sleep with her no more until you get your mind right, because all you're doing in that place is confusing the energy. And a lot of times, too many people, I ain't even just talking about you, whatever. Can you get a bad? We ain't going there. The too many people get physically involved before they should, and all that's doing is creating an energetic tie where there should not be one. You need to get your head straight first before y'all start bumping uglies or energies. That's just my best advice for you. I still say at this point, you need to do the spiritual cleansing and do the cord cutting or removal so that you can make an honest decision from a real place, not just caught up in the physicality of it because y'all jumped in the bed before you should have. Yeah, let it go and then find out what's going on. Yeah, that is a bit more than what we need to be into. This is going way too far from what we should be talking about here. So we're gonna have to go on to something else because I'm not here to be doing personal counseling of a romantic nature for, especially for somebody that ain't trying to hear what I done said. Because I gave you the answer 4 or 5 comments ago, and you still want to discuss it and chew over it. You're wanting me to tell you to go do this thing that you know you ain't got no business doing, and I'm not finna do that. So go do the spiritual work around it and meditate around it, and then you're gonna do whatever you choose to do anyway. Let's move on back to something spiritual though, because yeah, we ain't got time for that. Where were we before we got on all of that? Let me see. Wavelength, I hope you got something I can answer. Like I said, I'm sorry that you're sad, but if it's a spiritual question, cool. If you want me to play Dear Abby, I can't really do that here. This ain't the forum for it. Okay, Humble, I ain't even see you come in, or you, Alet Berenger. Welcome, welcome. Roy Johnson, I think I spoke to you, but I'm not entirely sure. Uh-oh. Hey, Mickey Wild, welcome. I have not read the entire book of Enoch yet, Brittany. I want to. I honestly, when I bumped into the Lost Book of Enki, I was looking for an audio version of the Book of Enoch years ago. My parents had the Apocrypha in our family library at home, but it was up on the top shelf, and they forbade me to read it, and I didn't understand why. And I was kind of afraid of the Book of Enoch because of Enochian magic and all that other good stuff. But I was finally at a point where I decided I was going to read it, and I went looking for that audiobook version and bumped into the Lost Book of Enki instead, and then I was off to the races with that. I'm not going to do the Enoch summary right now because we just started Zechariah Sitchin's 12th planet, Last King. We will eventually get into all of the apocryphal texts, but yeah, right now I really, really gotta. I've already purchased Sitchin's work and I've started down that avenue, so I'm not gonna just throw that aside and then go have to spend more money. But they do have plenty of audio movies and audio books and everything else. Swimmingly, they do. So anybody. All right, Sage. Thank you so much, love, for being here and doing what you can as long as you could. And I'll get with you later. Yeah, but swimmingly is right. If anybody that's interested in the lost book, in the gospel of the book of Enoch, there are AI movies that have discussed it and summarized it. You can hear the actual reading of the audiobook version. There's several versions of that on YouTube. You can probably go to, I'm pretty sure, like Astral Legends TV or Anunnaki Ancient Legends, some of them would uh, have versions of it. Yeah. Hey, Brianna Samuel. I'm interested in it though because he does describe what happens when he was taken up to the heavens and the different realms that he was taken to and all of that good stuff. So, I mean, basically, the Enuma Elish, Atrahasis, and the Epic of Gilgamesh are all telling the same story from a different perspective as well. But we haven't done the Epic of Gilgamesh yet, but we did do Enuma Elish and Atrahasis on this channel already. And then for me, the Lost Book of Enki is going to always be like the quintessential one because that isn't like the Babylonians and the Akkadians started taking some license or creative license with the accounts. You could start to tell they were beginning to be fictionalized a little bit. And the Lost Book of Enki does not seem to have that same kind of alteration done. He's stuck a lot more to just this is the facts, ma'am, just the facts. You heard it was about Yeshua's time learning meditation and stuff. It might have been. I mean, they use it as the basis for Enochian magic. I don't know what all is in it. In fact, no, I'm gonna stick to my guns and finish the personal readings first and then start getting into the 12th planet. But some point next week in my personal downtime, I may go ahead and listen to the audiobook version of it and see. I might do a like a real short summary of, a video, like a one video version discussion of the Book of Enoch, like I did with the Gospel of Judas. The Gospel of Judas. We may do that for the same thing for the Book of Enoch. Oh, good, Brittany. I'm glad. I'm hoping you're enjoying it. Like I say, if you want to see the video version, the For me, I got more out of it when I actually listened to it rather than watch the video, because you watching all the graphics and stuff like a movie. I missed a lot of points. It wasn't until I went back and closed my eyes and listened to it like I would a recitation of Bible scripture that I was able to get more of the meat and potatoes of the Lost Book. And then, of course, when I started actually reading it, yeah. It should be a good read, Daisy. I mean, Enoch became Metatron, so he got a lot to say. I'm glad you're enjoying them, Brittany, for sure. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because I mean, they don't stop and discuss things. They don't stop and consider and meditate. It's just kind of going all through. The first time I watched it like a movie, and I was very much entertained and sold on it to a degree, but you do miss some stuff when you watch it that way as opposed to actually reading it. It's kind of like going through the Emerald Tablets. You can watch the movie version, but if you actually stop and read the Emerald Tablets and slow down and consider, you know, break it up into sections and stop and think, wait a minute, what did that say? Maybe I need to reread that, whatever. Then yeah, it's really cool. Awesome. You saw the AI video of the Anunnaki the day after you found me? Good. Because honestly, it's like I've fallen down this rabbit hole, and I ain't even trying to get out though, because once I realized what I had bumped into, this is the core of where we need to go. I get people on all the time, oh, what have you read the Torah? Have you read the Quran? Have you read? I don't need to keep wading through Yahweh's mess. Once I bumped into Inky's information and understood that that's going all the way back to the beginning, I really don't need to wade. Now, like I said, some of those books, like the book of Enoch. I do want to read the book, the Gospel of Adam and Eve, the Gospel of Thomas, books like that. But yeah, I definitely uh, appreciate. I'm grateful that Yeshua bumped me right on straight to the Lost Book of Enki, because let's be real. If I had started on the 12th planet first, I probably wouldn't. It'd have took me forever to get to the Lost Book. He took me straight to the Lost Book, and then I can go back and start looking at the other stuff. So I'm grateful. It's interesting to me though. Well, I've always noticed, or not always, but since I started noticing signs and synchronicities kind of bumping into the algorithm and really noticing how much spirit plays with the algorithm, especially in YouTube. Oh my goodness. It's like they really can manipulate some stuff. I just really pay attention to my intuition and what jumps off the page at me. And that's led me to all kinds of amazing information. But the more you pay attention and they catch you paying attention, the more you get led to. So I am truly thankful that that information is out there and spirit can kind of bump us into it when we're ready to hear it, and that more and more people are starting to produce that kind of content and having these conversations and referring to each other. We can kind of compare notes. It's not just one person talking out the side of their neck and people think that they're crazy. There's dozens of people online now that have run into this information and are well aware of it. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's a quiet night tonight. I see 24 people in the house. Ain't nobody else got no questions or wanting to talk about something? That's kind of cool, though. I mean, we might make an early night of it so I can go start working on these personals and get some more content out. I'm gonna probably be up kind of late regardless, but I mean, see, you were going down a more spiritual path past manifesting and you popped up. They say truth has a certain ring to it. When you heard it, you felt like it was right for you to get into. Yeah, that's honestly, that's exactly how it goes. When you're on a certain path, your guides will gently nudge you where they want you to go. And it'll feel good and it'll resonate with you, or it won't. Anything that you want, Lauren, within the realm of spirituality. We talk here, we discuss like a lot of the ancient Sumerian Anunnaki text, talk about Thoth and Yeshua, some of the biblical scriptures and stuff. I mean, not from the standpoint that most folks would like to, but I do talk a lot about Yeshua, his ministry, that kind of thing. You're going to get it, Brittany, I promise. I know you think, I guess I keep limping along. But I really didn't expect for that full moon reading to be a 2 hour reading, and I didn't expect for me to have to start over in it as well. So today was kind of devoted to getting that out for the collective. But I am getting up in the morning and start in on the personal readings again before I do any more readings for the collective, so that I can get them taken care of. Because some folks have really been waiting for a while for them now, and I do want to get that out of the way because it's starting to weigh on my mind. Um, I will do the next chapter in the 12th planet, though. I will go ahead and upload that for the collective. But yeah, other than that, I'm going to be super focused on the personal readings. I'm going to try to get them all done tomorrow before the next live stream. That would make me feel a lot better if I could knock them all out, so that when I come online tomorrow, have that out of the way. And then next week, I'd be able to split my time on the live streams between tarot during the day and then the spiritual conversations at night. Because I do need to put myself back out there to a degree for tarot. I love doing this, but like you said, folks pay for the tarot. They're not going to pay for this, and they don't have to. Yeah, swimmingly very soon. I feel like I'm not a religion. Boys drive me crazy. I stepped away from religion. I was born and raised in the Christian religion, and when I started seeing a lot of discrepancies, and I started digging a lot deeper and started noticing some things and connecting some dots, and I wanted to really know the nature of Yahweh, the God we serve, Jehovah. And once I actually really started learning about the nature of Jehovah, I stepped away from Christianity and religion altogether. I turned my worship gene off. Oh yeah, people are a seed. They don't That's one of the reasons I try not to be dismissive. Now, if they come in with some foolishness, they have to be silenced, but I'm hoping they'll stick around long enough to hear something, because truthfully, that's one of the reasons I don't mind continuing to talk about the same kinds of things over and over here in the live stream, because that is where some folks may be introduced to this kind of information for the first time. So swimmingly, the Anunnaki will come back and reset the earth. Or the earth, there's going to be a natural cataclysm according to them. They're not causing it, but they're going to have to. Yeah, Revelation 21, that's in the Bible. It talks about that, and people want to make it be something else because religion talks about it. But I firmly believe that what's described in the end of Revelation in the Bible is the final skirmish in the Anunnaki wars, and Enki, the other more benevolent Elohim, comes back after all of the Yahweh mess is over and done, and he's done away with it, and they've cleaned up that mess. He comes back for peaceful reign on earth with humans. That's right there in the Christian Bible. Who is Anzu? I don't know who Anzu is. Swimmingly, Galzu is a messenger from the creator of all, but I don't know who Anzu is. Anu is Enki and Enlil's daddy, and he's neither good nor bad. He's just a ruler on Nibiru. He really don't, at this point, he never really personally interacted with Earth very much. He just gave birth to two. Well, had more. He didn't give birth. He fathered Enki, Enlil, and Ninma, but he's never ruled on Earth. Thank you, boys. Drive me crazy. I appreciate you. Let me see if I can find out something about him. Maybe I done overlooked something I've forgotten. Hold on. Let's see. They got a little glossary in the back of this book, so I'm gonna see. Oh, it says he's a spacecraft pilot. He was the first commander of the way station on Mars. He was a super insignificant character. That's why I say I read this book and I didn't even remember who he was. He just basically was a pilot. He was really of no particular significance in mankind's story, other than the fact that he was the command. The way station on Mars was just so that they could shuttle gold back and forth. Humans were never sent there um, for anything significant. The Watchers, the Anunnaki workers, worked the way station on Mars, so he didn't interact with humans at all. He may have stole. Well, according, I'm again, you say he's a bird who stole the tablet of destiny. The tablets of destiny were on ships, so he may have taken one of the tablets of destiny. But according to this book, which was authored by Enki, it says that he was a spacecraft pilot. He was the first commander of the way station on Mars. But truthfully, several tablets of destiny were taken by a few people over time, but it genuinely did not, in the overall scheme of things, it didn't really impact humanity that much. You keep talking. Well, I don't know what books or information you're reading from. I went back to the very beginning of the story. This tells the story from before they got to Earth till after Sumer and and Eridu and all of them was destroyed, all the way up to the point in time where Thoth and all of them began to leave, or they started pulling up off of Earth, going back to Nibiru. And I don't see about anything in this book. I don't. His role is so small that I didn't even remember who he was. So you're saying he likes to call trouble and all of that. I don't. He did not signify that much in our story. That's what I'm saying. Oh well, honey, Wikipedia is not. That ain't your be all end all resource for information. You do know that anybody can make an addition to a Wikipedia page, right? I could go on Wikipedia and write anything I want. That don't mean it's true. I'm just saying. He may figure in some of the other stories. Maybe he shows up in the Babylonian epic or in the Enuma Elish. Let me see if he shows up in, because they started taking a lot of poetic license. Hold on. Trying to see if he shows up in any of the other. Oh Lord, I'm dropping stuff now. I gotta find. That's such a smaller book. Yeah, I can't find my copy of Atrahasis right now. Oh wait a minute, here it is. I'm trying to see if it shows up here. I don't think they have a glossary. No, they got a bibliography in this book, but no glossary. Because I honestly don't really remember him being that big of a deal, a big of a character in the story. Brittany, that's funny. You say the Jewish higher ups review all the Wikipedia information to make sure, right? Exactly. So now you really know that they don't know what they're talking about half the time. I'm just saying. Truthfully, everything that we get, everything that we get a chance to lay eyes on in the public space like that is kind of gone over or somewhat policed by some of the powers that were. That's one of the reasons I turned my attention away from mainstream media and news outlets and things like that. Oh wow. Yeah, cuz they kind of control every university, every high school, every television station, every news outlet. all of that stuff that anything you see on mainstream television, you can best understand that the only reason you're seeing it is because the powers that were allowed you to see it. There's a reason why once upon a time, it's getting more diverse now, but years ago when I was a lot younger and watching mainstream TV, it didn't matter where in the country you were watching a news broadcast from, they all sounded exactly the same. Accents scrubbed out, cadences all the same kind of mannerism, basically dressed the same, basically look the same. Is literally a brainwashing program. But as far as the Anunnaki, they will be coming back. I mean, some of them are still here. They just aren't actively amongst us. But according to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, there's at least 32 of them that's still here, maintaining our energy, connecting with us in the astral, connecting with us in meditation, occasionally incarnating into human bodies. But for the most part, they're holding it down in their Agwanti state in the halls of Amenti. And I can bet, honestly though, it makes me wonder though. Well, Yahweh, obviously, he hasn't been completely deposed yet. I believe he's here, but he's not in the halls of Amenti. That's why I said I felt like the Vatican was his house for real. And I do. I just really do feel like that's at least his summer home. If he ain't there all the time, he's in residence there sometimes. But we're gonna find out soon enough. I honestly don't, because it. If you think about it, most thinking people would admit or say it doesn't look like we could probably survive much more than another 100 years or so of the hot mess that's going on the planet now. This country will implode and it'll wind up taking half of the civilized world with it, because they didn't start once America became a world power. They've built really unsustainable financial ecosystems on this planet. It'll be a domino effect if they really were allowed to just roam free and have their own thing. Snyder, yeah, just stop. Most people that deal with addictions of any kind have to make up their mind that's what that they want to live, and they want to live pain free more than they want to continue to baptize themselves in the poison of choice. And they make a determination and go cold turkey. I'm so sorry. You can go and see AA, Al-Anon. There's a lot of different places that have programs that can help you with that as far as support groups. But for real, if you want to stop drinking, you just gonna have to stop, bro. That's how that works. Exactly, swimmingly. A God of good would not allow this to keep going on. That was one of the questions that I had to ask myself years ago, because my thing was, you mean to tell me, according to the Jehovah's Witnesses, they claimed that, they got the religion that's the truth. So that means that before 1879, look how long this world has rocked on. According to the Bible, now they had it twisted and tried to say that humanity was only 6,000 years old. But even if we went with that premise, so you mean to tell me Adam and Eve messed up in the Garden of Eden, and God allowed the flood to happen, and that didn't solve the issue, and he allowed Sodom and Gomorrah to be destroyed, and that didn't resolve the issue, and then he went through all of that other stuff that happened, and they sent Yeshua, and they unalived him, and that was supposed to be going to buy back our sinful state for us, that was supposed to have needed to happen so he could pay the blood price of our sin. But even at that, that was 2,000 years ago, and it continued to rock on and on and on. And he just decided to tell people the right way and give them the right religion and the truth in 1879. Why would he wait 6,000 years to let enough light spill onto the planet to help these people? So everybody else that came along before then was just lost, according to them. I'm like, yeah, no. Either there's something wrong with that story or that God ain't shit. And I'm so sorry, but that was the way I felt about it. He's not good. And the Bible says, Yeshua said that his father was love. And I'm like, that's not loving. You're going to set people up for the okie doke. You're supposed to be the Alpha and the Omega, and you know everything, and you're all powerful. And you couldn't tell that they was going to mess up and eat the fruit when they weren't supposed to. And you're going to make your son give up his life because some chick ate some fruit she wasn't supposed to. And this is the lie that they tell us, and our dumb behinds go for it. Yep, that sounds about right. It's a beautiful thing. He gave us as a propitiatory blood sacrifice. Like, really? I can't even believe how I bought into that stuff. But you be in that program state. We are literally programmed to buy this mess. But it's when you really come out of the program and you're like, oh my God, how did I ever buy into this? It's just stupid. It's just stupid. But yeah, and Snyder, Brittany is telling you the absolute truth. I didn't have to deal with giving up drinking, but I smoked cigarettes for 30 years. At one point, I was a pack a day smoker. And then I wheeled down to a half a pack a day. And then I did the vaping thing for damn near 2 years and all the rest of that stuff. And one day I finally decided I don't want to get to the point where I've gone too far and realize I'm going to die from what I've done and I could just stop. And I put them down. And I ain't gonna lie, of course, even now, every now and then, if I had a vape pen available, especially when something gets on my nerves, I done got past the stinky cigarettes. I don't want that anymore. But I probably would have if I allowed myself to have vape pens around me. I would probably wind up giving into it. So guess what? I don't allow them to be around me. That's kind of how you do that. It's like this whole food thing. Same thing. I've gotten myself to a point that I know there's no other way around it. If I want to live and be free and mobile and pain free and all those other things, I'm going to have to be very circumspect and get real serious about what I allow to pass through my mouth until such time that my body can heal, period. You're gonna have to avoid all your friends that drink, honey. If you don't want to drink, you gonna have and your friends drink, you gonna have to avoid that. Yes, but guess what? So what? If they're encouraging you to drink and you don't want to drink, they're not friends that are worth having. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those people, but it may not be a problem for them, but it's a problem for you. So do you want to live or do you want to have a social circle? Because some of them same people will continue to drink regardless. That's not your business. You don't want to do it anymore. You want to raise your vibration. You want, like Brittany said, you want to change your reality to something more desired. And you can. You can have new friends that don't drink. Because it really is overrated. And truthfully, the whole sugar addiction thing, we get the double whammy if you choose to drink because sugar does the same thing to the liver that alcohol does. So you getting a double wham bammy if you choose to put alcohol on top of it too. And do not feel guilty about that, honey, because trust me, if it wasn't drinking, it'll be something else. Your spiritual journey is yours alone. And most of us, the chosen ones, the black sheep, the spiritual warriors, the light workers, the whatever you want to call yourself. If you're being called out of that, you're being called out. And most of us wind up on a very solitary path for a time. You ain't gonna be alone forever, because like I said, you're right here with Soul Family right now. So you will meet other people that are like-minded people. But the first part of that is breaking away from the pack. You don't fit in because you wasn't never meant to fit in, James. Okay. And it is kind of lonely at times when you first get to understand that, but don't feel bad about it. They're just not at the same point of awakening that you are. So they're not walking on the same path as you are right now. Eventually they'll get there and you may help them, or they may help you, or may whatever, but that's not your concern right now. Self-preservation is your concern. And if you're being called out of that stuff, you're being called out of it for a reason. Don't feel bad and don't look back. Just separate and do what you need to do for you. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Kay Goler. Uh-oh, sorry. Trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. And I hope you, like I said, we're rooting for you here. And look, even if you don't do it perfectly, even if cold turkey winds up being a series of cold turkeys over and over again, you just keep plugging. Do not give up. Get back on the wagon and do what you got to do. You will overcome this. The main thing is making up your mind that you want to do it. You want to put it down. It is not what you want. And ask for spiritual assistance. Ask Yeshua, ask Raphael, ask Michael to help you kick this habit. There's also, you may want to look at, you can probably look up on YouTube. There's probably like self hypnosis thing, tape sleep things that you can do, subliminals, things like that, to help you kind of kick the desire for it or the taste of it. Or there's any number of things like that that you can consider as well. You said, what are the good Anunnaki waiting for? Oh, you're so welcome. I'm glad to be here and glad we were here to help. Yeah, absolutely, James. Swimmingly, what are the good Anunnaki waiting for? Our consciousness to expand enough to be ready for it. Enough people to wake up to make it worth their while to intervene, so they don't have to take everybody out. Because it talks about those who do not bow to the dragon, they throw themselves at the throne at the mercy of the kinder Elohim. These things are having to play out, but there also had to humanity, because we have been reset several times. Okay, just like they told us in the Matrix, we've been reset before. Most of the time we didn't make it this far. We had to get to a point where we could make it past 2000 and 2012, that we could actually get to a point where folks are starting to wake up and see some of the stuff. And you got to remember, a lot of these ancient texts that could give us the clues and help us get the answers and all that, the vast majority of them didn't start being dug up out the ground till about 100 years ago. So before then, people didn't know. They were stuck in the Yahweh programming and had zero clue that they weren't doing the right thing. But now that information is coming out and more people are beginning to wake up, and eventually we'll hit a critical mass point where enough people will have awakened to kind of sweep the rest along. And when humanity's consciousness, it's when mass consciousness has expanded to a point that they can accept this and it's not such shocking news, and they're not coming in here telling us, oh, Jesus is Lord and you got to pray to your heart and you going to hell and all that stuff. When more people are able to accept this, then they'll be able to come in and make the transition. You think about it, we just are at the doorway of the age of Aquarius. And that's basically the time that Yeshua kind of sort of hinted towards in the scriptures, that it would be the time that it would be looking, it's leaving from one zodiacal age into another. Israel, when the Israelites came out of Egypt, they were leaving the age of Taurus, going into the age of Pisces. With Yeshua came along, he's kind of the mascot of the age of Pisces, and now we're heading into the age of Aquarius. Oh, Pamela, awesome. 24 years sober. That is awesome. 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 Congratulations. See, James, you can do it. And that's why I was like, I don't know what's available to you in your area. And even though, I'm not religion based, and I know AA does kind of have a religious feel to it, I do know that they've had a lot of success over the years with a lot of people. So if you're having a hard time going it alone, go find you a support group, and they know what they do, and they helped enough folks through that I don't even think that's nobody can deny that they've helped so many people that's not even a point of debate. And you'd be amazed, James, how many folks on the spiritual path are being called out of a lot of those types of habits. There's a couple of tarot readers that I know right now that were, came out of pretty severe alcoholism and substance abuse, actually. But when it's time, the help is there, and your guides will help you to break those habits. One of the ones I can think of right off the top of my head, I don't know how severe hers was, but she says that she is a recovering alcoholic. Is Fourth Dimension Tarot. You might enjoy her readings. I don't know. And she may, because I don't watch her. I don't watch anybody regularly anymore because I'd be too busy trying to put my own content out. But she used to talk a little bit about her journey. You might find some encouragement in that. Yeah, that's what's up, Pamela. I'm glad that you were willing to share that with us, though, and share with him. That's what I was saying too. I mean, like I said, I stepped away from religion per se. There are scriptural principles in AA, but I don't really think it's a religion thing. I don't know. I've never been there because my walking away from alcohol was a little bit different, and I'm grateful for it. Because my father was a functional alcoholic, and I had reached a point in my 20s where I felt like I was starting to get out of control. I was one of them that kept a bottle in the trunk at all times, and I was partying and going out to the club and this and that. And one particular night, I was leaving this little hole in the wall bar in my little hole in the wall town. I was the next town over, and one of my seriously alcoholic friends made one for the road or whatever. And by the time I got home, the last thing I remember seeing before I passed out, I literally fell like timber hitting the bed, and I looked and saw three sets of numbers on the alarm clock. And even though I was wasted, the next morning, that was the first thing that came to my mind. You stupid bitch, you could have killed yourself or somebody else. And I stopped drinking altogether for about 3 years from that day. It was a cold turkey scenario for me because I realized I was out of control, and I just stopped. And then later on, I got back to a point where I would have an occasional glass of wine or an occasional drink if I was out with somebody, in celebration of something, or gone to dinner with this one or that one. But from that time, I just never really cared as much for alcohol after that. And now I could literally go, if somebody buy me a bottle of wine on my birthday, I might have a glass or two, but that would be, I can count on one hand the drinks that I would have during the course of a year. Hey, Miss Yates, how are you? Hey, Sandra Horn. Oh, really? Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm glad to know that. Okay. Look, that was, like I say, they don't even understand. Uh, yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad that it worked out for you. Oh, so you needed a rock bottom? Yeah. And honestly, hey Denzel Wong Hai, how are you? I'm glad to hear you here. I'm glad to have you here. Um, Pamela, honestly, and again, tell that little story. I'm grateful that it wasn't alcohol. I'm grateful I was able to put down the alcohol and tobacco. For me, the one I struggle with now is sugar. Like, to be quite honest, and again, that's one of the reasons I know that this fasting period is something that I have to see my way all the way through, because I've been playing with it for too long. I'll do 2 or 3 days here and there, or the intermittent fasting. I'll lose a bunch of weight and then gain it back. I've got to completely break that habit, and that's something that's going to be hard. I mean, it has been hard for me, but it's something that I struggle with. And you think about it, most people that have some kind of addiction to deal with wind up with more than one thing, whether they realize it or not. Because we can be, I mean, it could be some of anything: doom scrolling, raunchy music, corn, all kinds of things we have, because that's part, especially in the Western world, a lot of that stuff is like waterboarded to us to create those habits, because it might winds up making some merchant somewhere rich. In America, they lace sugar into stuff that it don't even make no sense to put sugar in. They literally have us mainlining sugar, and it's so addictive. And they, like I said, stuff that don't even really taste sweet. You don't know why you're still craving it, because, and once you get to a point where you're actually insulin resistant and or diabetic, it's really hard to get off of it then, because the only way to really break that habit is to fast long enough to not only get it out of your immediate glycogen stores, but to unpack it from your fat cells too. And for some of us, we've been packing on fat cells for years and years, and most people are not going to be able to successfully stay off of it long enough to completely get it out of their system and stay in ketosis long enough that they've completely broken the addiction. It is very much a gateway drug. That's why I say it's crazy the stuff they put sugar in. And they start us right from the hospital with the baby formula. Baby formula is like 44%, used to be 44% high fructose corn syrup. And I think people fuss so much about that they took the corn syrup out of a lot of baby formula. But baby formulas are almost half sugar. And then we start them on the mac and cheese and the French fries and the chicken nuggets and so they start compounding between sugar and starches, which turn to sugar, and we wind up with these 100-pound babies that's 5 years old and weighing 100 pounds. It's crazy. Fat rolls everywhere. Yeah, honestly, Denzel, and it is for me. It's been such a struggle that, but I do, now that I'm aware of it, I just have to do the same thing that I just said for um, James, is the same thing that I have to consider for myself. Don't beat myself up when I fail. just jump right back on. It ain't, don't wait. I ain't gonna wait till the first of the month and this and that or the next week or another. One day's falling off is one thing. I just can't let it go till it becomes 2 days, 3 days, a week, whatever, because I'm losing too much progress that way. I know, like I said, I really have reached a point of being, if I went to a doctor right now, they would probably label me as diabetic. Not severely diabetic, but they would be wanting to at least put me on the pills. And I know better than that. And I rebuke that. So the only way for me to do that is treat it like the addiction that it is and continue to work on it until I conquered it. Um, Honestly, do I have anything to share about codependent? I wouldn't call it an addiction to codependency and cult groups, but it is a major problem in the experience right now. Yeah, we're gonna make it, Christy. We are. We're gonna get it. When you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, exactly. And honestly, that's what's happened with me. I got sick and tired of stinking like cigarettes and having that smoker's cough and feeling guilty and starting to be short of breath and wondering if and when I've gotten away with it so long so far, but do I really want to get to a point where I'm having to kick myself in the head because now I'm dealing with a diagnosis? So I walked away from the alcohol. I walked away from the cigarettes. And the same thing with the sugar. When I finally hitting the wall, and I didn't see it before, but when I finally got to a point where my legs are starting to swell and they're not just going down because I put my feet up at the end of the day, and I'm going and checking my blood sugar, and my fasting blood sugar is 120, and I know that's not supposed to be the case. You get to a point where you're like, oh shit, I have taken this all the way to the wall. I can't play around with this no more. Next thing you know, they're gonna be cutting off my toes and I'm gonna be sitting up in dialysis. The devil is a lie. I'm not willing to do that. So I had to make up my mind and understand there's nothing temporarily that I can put in my mouth that's gonna be worth that. So I've got to let it go. Hey, unique goddess, how you doing, mama? Welcome in, welcome in. Glad to have you. So yeah, you just have to get to a point where you're willing to have that tough conversation with yourself, and you realize the fact it doesn't matter how you got there. You got there because the paradigm that we're in has led you there. It is intentional. You think about it, they talk about what we used to do and this and that, but before the industrial revolution, people weren't eating meat the way they were, and they definitely wasn't eating as much sugar and stuff the way they were, or as many carbs and stuff. I remember when I was a child, the food pyramid, the U.S. recommendation, the RDA, whatever, they told our parents to give us a carb heavy diet and keep fruits and stuff kind of at a minimum. But when you literally loading on the carbs, the sugar ain't far behind, because once you get that taste in your head for a lot of breads and pastas and stuff, then what does the food industry do? Oh, they gonna put the cream and the sugar on top of it and call it cake and pastries and donuts and cookies and cakes, and you become carb addicted. You said now it's a word, BVB thing. Wait a minute. I don't know what you're talking about. They do BBN at birth. I'm not sure what that means, Denzel, but like I said, when I started looking into nutrition and stuff and saw how much sugar goes into baby formulas, And then you look at the average baby. My children were all very small, considerably, especially considering I'm overweight. I used to have to fight with the nutritionist because my babies were not overweight and they didn't have fat rolls and stuff. Most of my children were about 17 pounds at 1 year of age, which put them on the nutrition scale supposedly being underweight, but they all had very good blood work. They were not fat. They all had good appetites and all that, but it was the way that I fed them. And I got them off of formula as quickly as I possibly could. The ones that did, because I wasn't able to nurse all of them, but I made sure I went old school and did the rice cereal in there with the thing and all of that. So they weren't eating every 2 hours. They were literally eating every 4 to 6 hours. And I wasn't overfeeding them. And then once they started getting teeth and stuff, they were getting actual vegetables. I didn't like them nasty behind baby food that's full of hidden sugars and stuff too. I would actually cook food and mash it down for them and give it to them. And as a result, none of my children are overweight. They're all in very good health. Exactly, Pamela. People ate less food. They weren't scarfing down big chunks of meat. That beef is what's for dinner. That made the cattle ranchers rich. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That made the cereal people rich. Milk, it does a body good. That made the dairy farmers rich. And all of those things made America sicker and fatter. Cow's milk does not do a body good. Cow's milk causes us to have a whole lot of pus and slime and mucus in our systems, and it causes the calcium that's in our bones to leach out. They put added calcium and added vitamin D in cow's milk, but the calcium that's in cow's milk is not truly bioavailable to humans. That's the lie that the marketing campaigns tell us. Why do you think we have nursing homes full of people with broken hips and brittle bones? Because them good folks was sold that lie for decades that they were supposed to be drinking half a gallon of milk damn near a day. And now you look at them hard and their bones snap. It's leached the calcium out of their bone. Exactly, Pamela. Cow's milk is for baby cows. We are the only species on this planet that voluntarily consumes the mammary secretions of another species, and we're the only ones that continue to consume milk past infancy. All other animals will wean their babies off of their own milk, and they damn sure ain't feeding their babies no other milk. We turn around and have decided that cow's milk and goat's milk and sheep's milk and all of those other all of that stuff is good for us to drink and make cheese and all. And I love cheese. Don't get me wrong. I love the flavor of it, but cheese is super addictive too. It really, really is. And I had to step away from a lot of that. I mean, I still have a little. I'm gonna have some pizza every once in a while, or I'll cook with it if I'm, a little bit of mozzarella or a little bit of cheddar. But I don't drink milk like I've never liked to actually drink milk. I'd eat cereal with it or have it with cookies or cake or something, just a little bit that way. But as a child, I didn't even like to drink milk. They have to force me to drink it. Um, but once I actually understood what it actually does in the body, I eliminated 90% of the milk out of my. Exactly. I have almond milk, and occasionally, if I get fancy, I might get some cashew milk because it's a little bit thicker. But I keep almond milk around. Every once in a while, if I get a taste for some good old fashioned mashed potatoes, I might get myself a little quart of milk just to make those with, or a can of evaporated milk, because almond milk really don't. Mashed potatoes made with almond milk are disgusting. In my book, that's just my opinion. But the pea milk isn't bad for that, actually, so you can find other options. You said coconut milk. Yeah. I mean, some people like coconut milk. I drink the almond milk just because it's available. And I've just gotten used to the mouth feel of it and the taste of it. Coconut milk is a little bit watery for me. Cashew milk is a little thick depending on the brand. Almond milk is cheap, readily available, and it gets the job done if I decide I want some. And I'm mainly just use it for smoothies and stuff at this point. And truthfully, I'm at a point now where I want to, once I actually make it through the 40 day, and it's probably going to take me about 50 days to make it through the 40-day fast. I do make good mashed potatoes, but they not healthy. Like I said, it would be an occasional thing. I don't do that on a regular no more because I don't eat the way I used to eat anymore. And I'm definitely not going to be able to eat that way when I get back to actually eating like on a regular again. Truthfully, I cook for my roommate. That's one of the things. He's like an old school, super kind of macho dude. His ego won't even allow him to accept rent from me when I moved in, and he literally like a brother from another mother. I said he's part of my spiritual extraction team, but the way I compensate or provide in the house is I do like the grocery shopping and I cook for him. So, but he's vegetarian. He's not vegan. He does, like I said, he does still do a little mozzarella because he loves pizza, but I will probably, once I get through that big fast, for the most part, I'll just be eating whatever I cook for him. And occasionally I might go back eventually to a little bit of chicken, maybe some salmon occasionally. But for the most part, in order to maintain a whole new way of being, I'm just going to have to change up everything. And yeah. But yeah, my mashed potatoes, you have, like I said, I do butter and what's a good cheese substitute? Child boo. I wish I knew one. I ain't found one yet. I don't like vegan cheese at all. That's why he's still, well, part of his rationale, and I got it too, when he's been vegetarian now for about 15 years, but he doesn't cook at all. I mean, at all, at all, at all. So he wanted to maintain the ability to process cheese because if all else fails, he's a dude. He can always go somewhere and order a cheese pizza, even if he can't find a vegetarian restaurant. Because back when he did it, it wasn't like it is now. There's a vegan restaurant damn near on every corner now, but it wasn't like that years ago. So he just kept the ability to digest cheese. I don't like that texture vegetable protein. I don't like it at all. I've tried it. I bought some of the sliced vegan cheese. There's one I can't remember the name of it, but there is one that kind of sort of act like it'll melt if you put it on cheeseburgers and stuff. And I used to do that, but for me, because it's not that big of a deal, and I'm not super lactose intolerant, for as seldom as I would have a cheeseburger or beefaroni or whatever, I'll just use a little real cheese. It don't bother me that much. I'm not that hardcore on those things. I just will not drink, like go and drink a glass of milk. That's disgusting to me. I don't do that. Not anymore. Like I said, once upon a time I would with like chocolate cookies or a warm slice of cake or something. I would have a glass of milk. But even now, if I were gonna have some cookies, I get some almond milk. Hey Em, now I do like to have like the nutritional yeast. I'll sprinkle that because it does have that cheesy kind of flavor and stuff. I can do that in salads and stuff. But yeah, the actual that TVP, mm-mm. But then again, I can't really do much with tofu either. People go, "Oh, it's delicious." The devil is a lie. I've never been able to get tofu to have any kind of flavor that I liked in it. And I sat there and pressed it and soaked it, marinated it, and everything else, and it's still no, it don't have no flavor. Mm-mm. How did we get on the subject of food, y'all? Oh my goodness. How are you doing, M? Happy full moon and happy uh Lionsgate to you. You said the texture of it, yeah, of TVP, yeah, I don't care for it. Daisy Duke, that's what they claim it take on the flavor of whatever you're cooking it in, but I have yet to have that happen. I still wind up with chunks of flavorless goo in my stuff. So I leave it alone. And he doesn't like it either, especially being a male and with us being here in the US. If I knew for a fact that the tofu was organic, I would give it to him occasionally, but that genetically modified soy is not good for males to be consuming much of that. So I try to steer as clear of all of the soy products as I can. I mean, we still use it occasionally in some things because I know he likes the like the vegan meats and stuff, but I use Beyond Beef and I think it's Abbott's is soy free. Is like yeah, so it's like gluten free, soy free. I'll use those because like most of the Morning Star and all of them are so soy heavy that because I'm cooking for a man, I greatly avoid a lot of those soy products. A tofu smoothie, Denzel? No, baby, no, absolutely not. Now I do love mushrooms, and I love a lot of different kinds of mushrooms. So I've done a lot with mushrooms, and you're right. Um, I do like stir fries, and we use a lot of mushrooms around here. That I do say. Instead of tofu, we are very mushroom heavy in this house. Hey, Niana, you're back! Yay! Yeah, it is a beautiful full moon. And you know what? That might be why I've been feeling kind of weird and empty. I feel like I just want to eat something. And it ain't had nothing to do with this conversation. I was feeling that before we started talking about food. But I am happy to say there is no junk food in this house. So even if I do go and have something, I could like to saute some vegetables and some mushrooms and some of that stuff. But there's no junk in here. I don't have no chips or popcorn or no junk food in this house tonight. Oh, good, good. You talking about the full moon reading? In the deep, it's like it's a long reading, but I'm telling y'all, I encourage you to watch that reading. It went. I didn't have any clue where the reading was gonna go, but it was an absolutely beautiful reading. Yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Shoot, y'all got me wanting to go in here and make me some mushrooms and trying to think what kind of. Ooh. I forgot I bought some Brussels sprouts with the grocery thing today. I could make some saute some Brussels sprouts and have like some mushrooms with the I've got the Beyond Beef tips in there. I could do steak tips and mushrooms with some Brussels sprouts. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, Cheryl, I think we all kind of do. James, you on your way out of here. I do follow Yeshua. I don't Jesus, all of that. We ain't got to do all of that. I think most people need to fast from sugar, and if they in the United States for sure, they need to fast from sugar unless they've been on a more mindful path of like vegan and all that. The Beyond Beef, I ain't gonna lie and tell you it tastes 100% like beef Daisy Duke, but it does, in my opinion, it tastes good. Of the so-called vegan meats, it's one of the better. He can't eat that impossible beef. It makes him physically sick. He used to like the burgers. We have a restaurant called Slutty Vegan here in Atlanta, and he used to eat them, but it started making him sick. So we go to Beyond Beef. Now, I don't like the preformed Beyond Beef burgers, they're gross. But it looks like I buy the one that's like the chopped meat. It looks like a pound of ground beef, and I season it the same way I would beef, but I also add liquid smoke and sesame oil and a little bit of soy sauce, and I put my garlic and all that other stuff in there. and it tastes really, really good. And the same thing with the steak tips. I put my garlic and my onion and all of that, excuse me, and some liquid smoke and some sesame oil and kind of stir that and let that marinate a little bit. And then I stir fry it with onions and mushrooms and all, and it gets a little crisp on it that gives the kind of chew like steak tips. It tastes good to me. The Goya veg season, that's really good too, yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you find rest here because we just chilling. Like I said, I feel like this is our house. We could talk about whatever we want to. Some nights it stays pretty well focused on like the spiritual topics, but truthfully, caring for our physical bodies is part of spirituality. So, talking about, healthy foods and ways to break unhealthy habits and things like that. We have to take some time for that self care. I don't mind that, especially in this full moon energy. We are undergoing some transformations. There's a lot of us here. Some of us don't even know it yet, but I know who I sent for energetically in my channel. So the soul tribe, soul family is coming in. There's a lot of people that are undergoing a major transformation. They are up leveling and evolving on the fly. You say you're an ancestor? I believe that. Absolutely, I believe that, Denzel. We've got to, and part of the reason we've got to eat clean, Daisy Duke, as much as I love some of that stuff, like I said, I love like cheesecakes and cheese Danish and all of that good stuff. And I'm not saying I'm never ever ever gonna have a dessert again, because everything in moderation. But I had gotten to a point, obviously, that moderation went out the window, and it's got to get back to it, because that DNA that years ago they tried to tell us was junk DNA. It's not junk DNA. It was dormant DNA, and it's being activated now. We are evolving. We're becoming more crystalline, which means we have to lighten these avatars. We've got to. They cannot carry the toxic load that we've been putting on them. It's like, think about Mr. Incredible when he was coming through that thing and all the tar globs was hitting him. It's starting to weigh our physical avatars down and will weigh down our spiritual and etheric bodies as well. We've got to lighten the load for this next stage of evolution, for the type of spiritual connections that we're being called to cultivate. Hey, Concrete Rose 242, how are you? Hey, Valerie Blakely, it's good to have you in here too. Absolutely. And that's why, some of the folks get in here and they get unkind and they clown me about my weight and all of that. And I debated initially whether I was even going to start going live, because I knew there was some even though they claim we're in this body positivity movement and we're not supposed to this and that, there's some super immature people that will immediately go to that. But then I realized, again, there are a lot of folks out there that need to see somebody that's willing to be accountable enough to be honest about what's going on, and see and talk about the struggles of getting through this, because it ain't about everybody wants to jump up in the gym with a model-esque body. What about real people that's going through real stuff on a daily? But as part of our spiritual journey, we're being called to do this, because I'm not going to go and put on no y'all don't need to see me out here in my leggings and all that other stuff to prove a point. But in this spiritual journey, this is whether we physically lose the weight and look fabulous or not, we've got to do the energetic work to clear our bodies out. We just have to. I'm glad to hear, Valerie, that you're on it. You said Shawanda, you're on it too. Yep. See. Mm-hmm. Pamela, you. Yep. Exactly. We're making room to become something else. Oh, I'm not really concerned about it as much anymore, swimmingly. I'm just saying, whenever I first decided to start going live, that was one of the things that I was concerned with. And sure enough, they started coming in. And then I realized, like you said, and because half the ones that's cowardly behind the scenes saying all that hateful stuff, if you could see them, they probably have very little, if any, room to talk, because I found that most people that are very beautiful people and out there muscular and this and that, they are literally cheering you on. They're not being hateful with people like that. The only people that I've ever heard that really went in on people on their physical appearance was people that really should have sat down and been real quiet. They ain't had no reason. They may not be fat, but they was ugly as a troll. You know what I'm saying? They was bald. They was toothless. They was something else that they should have just shut the hell up and sat down somewhere. They shouldn't have been talking about nobody. But those are the ones that talk the hardest. I'm not getting in no political nothing with you, Muhammad. I have no idea. Neither one or both. However it goes for you. Iran or Israel. Neither. How about that? When it comes to weight, son, yeah, exactly. I've been heavy my whole life. I was always the biggest kid in class, and I wasn't fat. I was just solid. I didn't really start gaining weight till I started having children. But again, I'm not blaming the kids because I lost most of my. I didn't gain a super lot of weight when I was pregnant, and I lost most of it pretty quickly afterwards. But I was having kids for people that kept me in a lot of turmoil and hell and confusion, and emotional eating took over my life. Instead of me getting rid of the people, I was trying to eat my feelings and not understanding that that was what I was doing, not getting the therapy and the help that I wanted, from childhood trauma to relationship trauma and drama and all the rest of that. And in a serious case of body dysmorphia, and complete cognitive dissonance and denial, let the weight pile up and pile up and pile up. As long as I can get a date, I can get a man, I can move, I'm not having pain. It wasn't an issue. By the time it became a problem, it was really a problem. You know what I mean? They came on your page complaining about getting blocked. Well, they shouldn't have been acting, it shouldn't have been clowning. They're gonna get blocked. They can complain all they want. Come up there with some noise. And fortunately, I'm glad that y'all are nice, because I had gone through it when I didn't understand. I was blocking people permanently. I had to go back in my studio and clear all of those blocks because I had a bunch of people completely. Williams Lair, I'll email you and let you know. And you say you already did the email and the coffee. Okay, I'll email you, find out the questions that you want to have answered and all of that, and then you just gonna have to give me a little time. It takes a few days for the payment to clear and buy me a coffee. And once the payment actually clears, I'll try to see to it that I get your reading out to you within 72 hours, hopefully. That's why I got to get on them other ones, because there's a bit of a backlog right now, but I am trying to get all of the readings caught up over the next few days. Awesome. Great. And thank you, because I didn't even see your coffee come in. I saw a couple other folks. Appreciate you. Hey, baby. Thomas Love, how are you? And darkness of night to the light of day. Okay. I'm going to have to look up some of these channels. I'm going to start writing y'all down and looking you up, because I be wanting to know. Inquiring minds like me want to know. You said Williams Lair. Oh, absolutely, Pamela Sykes. Honestly, we all just walking each other home, like for real. Like I said, I'm a nerd who got pulled down a particular spiritual rabbit hole with some really cool information, and I don't believe in gatekeeping, so I can share. But we all got something to bring to the party. So I be be definitely wanting to hear from you all as well. That's why I like these evening sessions, because we can kind of go wherever we want to go with these. I mean, I can upload stuff on a certain theme as an upload to the channel, but the live streams are our time to just connect, and I love that. Who's in the back, Starboy? That's a tree with a moonscape. It's a mural. There ain't no person back there. Unless you seeing some of my angels standing back there. Awesome, Williams. Well, good. Share some of her, share the content with her so she can come on aboard too. More the merrier. Like I said, I'm trying to, I just got started with this, but eventually I'm hoping we rock out somewhere in the 100, 200, 250,000 mark. Well, I wouldn't mind having 1 million subscribers, because I'm trying to tell you, one of these days, I ain't asking nobody for nothing now, but one of these days, I'm going to ask my 1 million subscribers to each dig deep and give me $5, because we got something big to do on this planet. And I want to do it through crowdfunding. I don't want the government in our business, but we're going to make a huge impact on this planet with love projects in several places around the world, and it require money. So the more the merrier. Get them on in here. Get them in here. Yeah, way my way. Okay. Welcome and thank you. Denzi Wong Way. Okay, I'll be your mama. I'm gonna have a whole bunch. Look. I'll be the universe, the global mama. How about that? Long as you don't make, well, I honestly, I am a grandmama, but I don't want to be everybody grandmama. Because I try to convince myself I'm still young. I got young energy, so I'll be your mama or auntie or TT or something like that. I like Empress Goddessy vibes, because truthfully, I'm really trying to. One of these days, when I get more time and get things together, I even thought about doing either a class or a course or something for divine feminines, particularly. I mean, eventually, we're gonna do something for the divine masculines as well. But part of what's been put on my heart is to talk very candidly with women about returning to the divine feminine, about embracing their goddessy. Because truthfully, we run this bitch. Y'all don't know? We really do. Spiritually, we will eventually run it again. And that's part of the problem. The powers that were, religion and all of that, have really tried to tamp us down, but women are more connected through the veil. We're naturally more spiritually inclined, because the way our energy centers are set up through the womb, we cycle energy. Men lose chi through their sexuality. We cycle energy and chi through our sexuality. Custom, you gonna get up out of here with that. You ain't coming in my house with disrespect. You shut the fuck up. How about that? I said it now. And exactly. Mother Earth needs us, and our men need us. People don't realize that when we talk about the divine feminine. Hold on a second. I want to write something down here. Sherry. Hey, Sherry Goods. I'm so sorry. I didn't even see you, my love. People don't realize that they get on that anti whatever when we talk about returning to the divine feminine, but women crawling out of this fake toxic masculinity that has been put on us in this modern western world. This I don't need a man, and the head ringing and the burning of the bras and the slinging around like 304s, and I don't need no man, and I can do bad by my, all of that stuff is designed to keep men and women separate. But a return of the divine feminine, a woman that is comfortable stepping in her true feminine energy, returning to her goddessy, that is good for the men on our planet too. So that they can be the men that they're called to be, and we can be the women that we're called to be. And a lot of that gender confusion crap that they spewing around now, that mental illness, that'll go away too when that happens. Yeah, the distorted masculine has been, it started the show, but a lot of the toxic masculinity on this planet now, darkness of night to the light of day, a lot of the toxic masculinity on this planet now is embodied and distributed through imbalanced females. Toxic masculinity is not really a thing amongst men as much as people would like to make it. They claim it is. The liberal women are claiming that it's on men. It ain't. The toxic masculinity that we see is coming from women. I don't even have locks, Denzel. My locks don't touch the floor. I've thought about locking my hair up, but I'd be wanting to do too much with it. They're twists. I got twists right now. But yeah, I might lock it up at some point, but I doubt it. I done got to that age where locks actually make me look older, so I don't really want to do that. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I ain't mean to. I look. My mouth ain't no prayer book. Y'all been knew that, but you know, no, ain't nobody. That's one of them things right there. That STFU. Especially if you just came up in here in my house and don't know what you talking about or what we even talking about, to come in and say some of that. No, they gonna get what they give. I ain't got time. But I'm back where I get. I'm not gonna go let them spiral me all the way off into that, but they gotta go. Kyle, I don't really do separate signs messages. I don't have enough people watching my tarot readings to warrant that. If I tried to do all the separate signs, I would be tied to my channel 24/7, and I'm not getting any personal readings and stuff out of that. It's not cost effective or time effective at this point for me to do that. If I had, a couple thousand people watching my videos, then yes, I would do all the 12 signs and it'll be worth it if need be, because if nothing else, they would appreciate it and do the tips. But truthfully, if I did a Leo sign message right now for you, it'd probably be 10 people, if that, watching it. I only get 40 or 50 views per reading in the first place. So for me to do a regular reading and get 40 views on it, I can imagine if I broke down and did 12 individual readings for the 12 zodiac signs, it would take me all week long to do them. And I probably would only get 4 or 5 views per video. I just really can't. I'm sorry. Now, if you want a personal reading, I'd be more than happy to do one for you. You can email me at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com and I'll give you a hell of a reading. My readings be legit, but I'm just not willing to commit to doing all 12 of the zodiac signs with the current viewership that I have. I can barely keep up with what I'm doing now. You said you need men to be men. Exactly. Our men are confused, but a lot of the reason our men are confused, Pamela, is because our women have been confused and imbalanced. Think about it. A lot of the ain't, let's just be real, and we grown here, so I'm gonna say it, a lot of the ain't shit men that's running around the planet now are ain't shit men because they was raised by toxic females that were stuck in an imbalanced toxic masculinity. The feminist movement convinced women that they don't need men, that they could be as loose as they want to because we have birth control now. So we started treating our wombs like a stop and shop and started just giving in to base masculine sexual desires because we wanted to be like them. If they could do it, we could do it too. So if they're going to be hoes, we could be hoes too. And we got out there and convinced ourselves that that was perfectly fine. And in doing so, a lot of us made ourselves low hanging fruit for ain't shit men. Then we have babies for these men, and they won't stick around and do nothing to take care of the men, or they'll stick around, but they're so sorry and lazy, you have to get rid of them. But either way, the end of the scenario is you got babies that do not have an adequate representation of a father to help raise them, and then they women get bitter in that, and instead of acknowledging what they contribute, how they contributed to that by choosing poorly who they wanted to procreate with, they won't take accountability for that. They blame it all on men and become super bitter, and then they wind up raising children with that same nasty attitude. They overcompensate and try to raise young boys. And a woman, I don't care, even if she has to because her husband passed away, a woman is not qualified to completely raise a man. We can get him to adulthood so that he ain't eaten by bears and all of that, but there are certain things that a boy needs that he can only get in a community of men. And we've convinced ourselves that our young boys don't need men, so we wind up raising a generation of overly macho but truthfully or under masculinated men. We are raising feminine boys in a damaged, feminine, egoistic arena. And then we turn around and teach the girls that same toxic masculinity that led us to our 304 choices and our 304 bad decisions. And the cycle just continues on and on and on. Sorry, but in a point of accountability, you got to admit that's where the crap comes from. We blame men for it, but it's truthfully women that displaced men and put them in that position. And why? Because especially in the black community, and I don't like to do the race thing very much, but a lot of this, hold on a second. The reason I'm gonna go back to the black community on this, it does take two to play darkness of light to the day, but what I'm talking about, it takes two to play, but men decide whether a marriage will happen or not. Women determine whether sex will happen or not. Think about that. And too many women have decided to play the game. Our grandmamas tried to tell us why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free. But women in their desire, we listen to Cosmo and Marie Claire and all the rest of the feminist movement and all of the rest of that stuff. And they convinced us because we had birth control pills now and we didn't have to worry about pregnancy that we could go out there and be as loose as we wanted to, and it didn't matter. And it does matter. It created an environment. We drank the Kool-Aid, and now we're suffering the effects from it. These women have, and the reason I put it squarely on the women, and again, I'm gonna tie it back. It starts from my vantage point. It started with the black family on the other side of the civil rights movement, and I'm gonna tell you why. Eventually, it spilled over to everybody, but primarily the feminist movement, when it first started, was a white woman's movement, and that was fine. It was just white woman against her man, and that was fine, but they weren't getting the power and the numbers that they needed. So they went and addressed the black women and brought them into the feminist movement. And black women, instead of just protesting and arguing and whatever in their little limited standpoint, because feminist women would still talk about white men, but they were still interacting and working with them and marrying them and the whole nine. Black women, on the other hand, started treating black men like they weren't nothing, like they was complete garbage. They already had enough of a bad road to hoe coming out of the other side of Jim Crow and the civil rights movement and all the rest of that. But when black women lost respect for black men and then started doing that whole I don't need a man, using men as a commodity, not respecting them, this and that and all the rest. And then we got the other side where they're still bouncing in and out of jail. That's a whole nother issue with the legal system. But the government, primarily under the Democratic Party, furthered the divide When the civil rights movement came along, and then they put all of these people on welfare, they let black women know, you don't need a man. Come here, Uncle Sam will be your baby daddy. And they totally lost respect for black men, and they started using them as just a sexual commodity. And then over time, because we've integrated now, it started out as a black woman thing, then it became a poor woman thing, and that's when white women started doing the same thing. Because you primarily, this issue between the sexes and all of that stuff that we're talking about, most of it is in the black and white communities. For the most part, excuse me, in America, the Latino and Asian communities don't have this issue. Stop me when I start lying. It's a black and white woman thing. No, it didn't start with Adam and Eve. That's the Yahweh lie. I'm talking about what we're dealing with right now in modern society since the Industrial Revolution and what happened after we, like I said, after integration and the feminist movement and the beginning of welfare in this country and all of that stuff. I'm not talking about all the way out through time with Adam and Eve, darkness of night. The issue that I'm talking about right now didn't go all the way back that far. This stuff right here happened within our lifetime. A lot of men were abusive to women, but a lot of women are abusive to men too. People only talk about what they want to hear, Unique. It ain't that many men, because guess what? At the end of the day, if a woman is got an abusive man, leave his ass alone. Women complain about men being abusive, but they stay with abusive men. It ain't his fault. Is she too silly to leave? Sorry, she's not. Because I'm sorry, I know how to get a man up off of me. And I've had a violent man. I got a scar on the side of my head to this day that I'll carry to my grave, put there by a man. But I bet you he won't hit me again. That part. And I let him know in front of his mama, if he tried it, I set her to shopping for black. And I meant that. Women don't have to put up with that. Men do that because they can get away with it. But that's when a woman don't have no self-control or no self-esteem, and she gives herself to a trifling piss poor excuse for a man that would beat men. The vast majority of men are not abusive like that. Women tell that lie to themselves because they choose to give themselves to sorry men rather than keep themselves for real men. It's a whole lot of beautiful men out there that will do right by women, but women are so jaded because they let them same few that like to pick through low-hanging fruit run through all of them. Have you ever noticed how a man that's out there in that kind of scenario, are you talking about how sorry he is and he violent, he beating her, he this and he that and he the other, he ain't shit. He got 3 or 4, 5 baby mamas, because them, out of all of a community of women, all of them kept going for this sorry behind man. It'll be a decent man over there, can't barely get a date, and women turn their nose up at him. But the sorry slug that's slinging pee, he got 4, 5 baby mamas. That's a woman's fault. That's not a man's fault. Because she's so busy like buying into that pretty princess. She can do better than the next one. She ain't even, he got 2 or 3 baby mamas, and you ain't questioned that he might be the problem. But in your mind, you think that if you love him enough and you did, that's that stray puppy syndrome. He treated the rest of them bad, but he ain't had none of this over here. I'm the bomb.com. So when he gets me, he's gonna automatically, I'm gonna straighten him up and he's gonna fly right. No, the hell he ain't. He gonna run through you too. That part. Of course, there are abusive men, Antoine. I'm not saying that all men are angels and neither are all women the fault, but I'm saying the overall thing that we see now with this rampant single parenthood thing with these overly independent women, they running around hollering about they independent, but they genuinely ain't independent because they mad because men won't turn around and accept them after they done went through and made all of these horrible life choices with these horrible men that they find or that find them. And they want that, they turn around and flap on social media like it's all men that act like that. And it's not. All men don't act that way. It's the men that they chose to be with, because they don't understand that instead of solving their traumas and their dramas before they got out there and start freely giving themselves to whatever random man showed up and told them that they look cute and smell good, because Cosmo told them that that's what they're supposed to do. They left their energy unattended. So, from a low vibrational space with that low vibrational thinking, it's part of the programming, true enough. But when you're operating from that kind of a space, you're not going to attract nothing but low vibrational partners. That's where it really comes from. But a lot of those men are abusive because they was raised by women. Oh, I'm sure you have been abused by women. Yeah, and the Latino community and the Asian community is, I'm not saying that everybody in those communities is perfect either. We're talking in generalities, but overall in America, the problem that we were talking about here with the toxic females, the toxic masculine attitude in females leading to a furthering the relationship divide. Yeah. Honestly, unique though, it really didn't. If you look a little bit further back into history, go study what Francis Welsing and all of them had to say about that, about black women in the culture. The feminist movement was sparked by white women, and they really didn't have they claimed they had something to complain about because he wouldn't act right, he wouldn't give them the rights and stuff that they wanted, but the physical abuse and all that kind of stuff, like I said, the black family was a lot closer then, until women decided that they wanted to jump on the feminist bandwagon. Between feminism and welfare, it literally put a divide in the monkey wrench that divided a lot of black families. And yeah, when men get assaulted, it is disregarded. Women can lie, they can jump on a man, they can beat him up, they can do whatever. And the moment she get two tears in the corner of her eye and call the police, it don't matter how beat up he is. He's going to jail, and she gonna be treated as a victim, even though she was the one that jumped on him first. And it's not right. Hey, Sunflower. Hey, Azul. Yeah, we are responsible for our own healing, Pamela. I get that part, but there's a lot of stuff that, again, is because women play the victim and will not accept responsibility or accountability for how we got to this point. It's not all on men. I don't care what you say, Roz Rodriguez or nobody else. It's not. It's a whole lot of women that could make things better. Things got a lot out of hand because a lot of women allowed a lot of stuff to get out of hand. And men have gone along with it because we're the weaker vessel and blah, blah, blah. But we're going to have to learn to take some accountability for ourselves in order to turn this thing around. Hey, Patricia. Welcome in. Hey, Jilly. Exactly. And that's my point, Antoine. I'm saying I've recognized those things, and it may not be 100% true across the board, but I've seen and experienced enough in it, being around women, working amongst them, living amongst them, having relatives, listening to the bullshit that they do, seeing the dudes that then got locked up and or unalive, fooling with their foolishness, all of that stuff. I didn't target, you didn't listen, Raj. You came in and only heard half the story. I said in America today, you do not have that problem amongst the Hispanic or the Asian community in general. The issue is amongst white women and black women, and primarily broke white women and broke black women in those lower socioeconomic categories. You didn't listen. I didn't put Hispanic women nowhere in this conversation. You have to, Patricia. Was your dad raised by a single parent, Nixit? Now they made there's exceptions to every rule. He might have just been a mean son of a bitch. I don't know. But was he there's a good chance that he might have come out of a single parent household. I know mine did, and he was verbally abusive. He wasn't as much physically abusive to me because I was able to finally stand up and to let him know if he hit me again, I was going to break a chair across his back. I wasn't putting up with it. But my father was raised in a single parent household, and it shows because they wind up acting like the bitter women that raised them. They just do. Okay, and I'm just glad we got it cleared up because, like I said, I wasn't no Hispanic families, communities still look out for each other. They do what Black communities should have done. Every other community does, and truthfully, on that, and I don't even like to get into the race conversation per se on that, but truthfully, in America, that's one of the reasons Black Americans don't understand why so many other cultures around the world disrespect Black Americans because Black Americans have no solidarity. We assimilated so far that we wanted to erase our entire ethnicity and culture, and we don't stick together. And every other basic ethnicity, even in America, amongst whites, Jews, Asians, Latino, everybody sticks together except Black folks. And that's sad. It really is. Hey, Raji Talaz. Okay. Well, then again, there are exceptions to every rules, Nixit, but were they happy? You know what I'm saying? Because some of that old, if you're saying his parents have been together for like 40 years, you got some old school people on your hands, and some of them people did believe in not sparing the rod or spoiling the child. So was he beating you with a belt, or was he just jumping on you, putting his hands and fists on you in an abusive manner? Because I got my butt tore up with a belt too, because my parents believed in corporal punishment, and honestly, so do I. I've I have whipped my children with a belt, and I'm not apologizing for it because if I didn't do it, the warden will. This overly permissive society we live in now, they're telling everybody that if they got spanked with a belt, they're traumatized and they need you leading. It's leading us off the rails to a whole generation of serial killers. Is what's happening, or people that can't function in the real world. Again, I don't know. You said he beat you. Did he beat you with a belt or was he out putting his fists on you? That's what I'm trying to find out. He punched you and was verbally abusive. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, then, again, you should have called the law on him, or your mama should have, or somebody should have, because my mother was physically abusive to a degree. It didn't get to that extent, but yeah. Oh, wow. Damn. Yeah, there were some folks out there that didn't behave like they should have. And again, they had a different attitude. You shouldn't have threatened to do nothing. You should have went ahead and did it then if it was that big of an issue, Nixon. You don't you never tell you move in silence. You don't never tell your left hand what your right hand is doing. But if you had physical evidence of physical abuse, you should have told somebody. Again, like I said, my daddy was raised by us in a single household. So when I told him, I was able to threaten him and he backed up off of me. I let him know if he put his hands on me again, since he did not know what discipline was, that I was going to break a chair across his back and then I was going to call the law. And he left me alone. And I get it. I was about 14 or 15 too. Fortunately, I'm glad that those days are behind you. Some people really are abusive, and I don't know what his issue was. Maybe he was living in the middle of a narcissist supply paradigm or something. Abusive. You said yours was abusive and angry at his adoption. But that's what I'm saying. And I get that hurt people, but we also have to reach a point where we decide we're not going to allow hurt people to hurt us no more. And if they won't stop the cycle on their own, we have to. And I get it. At 14, you made that was, and I'm sorry that that happened to you. I'm not trying to take away anything that happened from you. That's some trauma that you need to process. But that's the exception rather than the rule. The vast majority of people are not physically abusive like that. Well, again, she may not have felt able to, or they may not have felt able to, Raina. At 14, we do feel like sometimes we do really feel like our um, options are very limited. And depending on how old Nixit is at 14, their options may have generally been very, very limited. I'm 57 years old. At 14, I didn't have the option to really go to the law either. Thankfully, my threat was enough, and my sisters were of some decent size and they were considerably older than me. All of my sisters were adults too and lived close to me. So my daddy had to think twice about who he was going to put his paws on because he knew there was going to be some consequences. Wouldn't even had to worry about getting down to the law doing nothing about it. There were some pretty beefy females in the family that would have took care of it. So I didn't feel as disempowered as Nixit may have. That's why I say I'm not trying to say that he or she didn't have or had a way to get out, because at 14, depending on the circumstances, they may really have been kind of a captive audience. Boo, you on your way out of here because that's not what we own. Patricia, to some degree, I do believe in generational curses because a lot of us here are here to break some of those generational curses or cycles. And truthfully, even in the scriptures, they tell us about generational curses to the third and the fourth and sometimes the seventh generation. So people that claim that they don't believe in them, they never read their Bible. There is a such thing as generational curses. Nope, Roz, I'm not a counselor or a therapist. I can be a spiritual coach. I don't really want to call myself a professional counselor because of the legalities in it. I just came from a very common sense school of hard knocks, been there, done that, got the t shirt, the bad credit, and a trophy for it. School of wisdom. And I'm just willing to be a little more transparent about it. A lot of women, especially older women, will not acknowledge the mistakes that they've made. They won't take accountability for the things that they've done. They still want to live in victim consciousness and blame everybody else. And I'm just not about that. I am willing to lay the blame where it's supposed to be, even if it's at my own doorstep, because that's the only way to actually heal some of this stuff. We are in the process of breaking them, Patricia, by addressing these things. Like I said, some of these folks, think about it, even the ones that have dealt with domestic violence and things like that, they're getting the help, they're speaking up, they're going and getting counseling, they're stepping away from those painful relationships, they're raising their vibration and making better choices for partners in the future. Those are all ways of breaking the generational curses so that that doesn't continue. You're making the choice, okay, my daddy beat the crap out of me, I'm making a choice not to do that to my children. Now again, I can't take it back. My children are all grown now. So I did do some spanking, but I did way fewer and further between. And they acknowledge everyone they got, they kind of sort of deserve. My oldest still claims she got one that she didn't really deserve, but they got them for a reason, because I understood if I don't discipline my children, the warden will, or the funeral director will wind up having to deal with my refusal to discipline them. And so, because of that, I did use some corporal punishment. I wasn't one that was forever beating and banging on them and acting a fool and all of that. That my children will tell you quick. They're grown. They were not abused. So, Yeah, that's why I spoke what Nick said. Again, I wasn't trying to take away from what you went through, but I spoke about what Raina was saying because she don't understand. She really don't, and we can't get upset because sometimes, and especially with young children, they don't understand that there's a way out. And depending on where they're at, if they're in a little rural community or a really religious community or whatever, they may genuinely be, kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place with no real way out. Hey, Savita P. You say you drinking alkaline water while eating sauteed mushrooms? That sounds really good. That does sound really, really good. Kapalakasha, we hit the Lions Gate portal. The height of it was yesterday. The energy still continues through the 12th, my dear. If you want to know what you can do with that energy, look up. There are several astrologers that are talking about Lions Gate and how to navigate those energies. There are several guided meditations that have been done for Lions Gate energy, all of that. Hey, Donovan, how are you? Awesome, awesome. I'm glad to have you in here. You say you drinking beer and eating cashews, rocking Johnny. Okay. Your thoughts on your comment? Let me go back, Valerie. I must have missed it. Hold on. Hey, Katina Schofield. I didn't even see your comment. Hey, Michelle B. I didn't see you either. Um. Hey, baby Bubba. How are you? Hey, Raji Talais. I didn't see any of y'all. My goodness. Uh. Girl, you might have to type it again because I'm trying to scrolling up and I'm not seeing it. Can you type your question again, Valerie? Oh, you said, how do you beat Gwendolyn? You keep feeling her presence. And a question about, oh, no, I don't know how you beat Gwendolyn. I don't even know who Gwendolyn is, but okay. Hey, Gnostic Warrior. About statues? Valerie, I don't see your question though. That's what I'm saying. I scrolled up trying to find it and I don't see it. Valerie, I see that's it right there. We draw in what's in us. It's not what we want. The problem is self worth. That was the last comment I saw from you. I didn't see nothing about no statues though. If you would please just type it again because yeah, I can't, I don't see the question itself. You say your brother can't stand that you don't remember your dad kicking out. He's been a hard for 25 years. He works in the oil field, but he works the, oh wow. Honestly, if you can't remember it, it's probably behind a trauma wall somewhere in your head. I literally had sequestered a large portion of my life before the age of 24 or 5 or so behind a wall in my mind that just, it wasn't until I really started doing more layers of shadow work and inner child work that I had to go back and revisit some of the events and things in my life to see them from, it was like, oh wow, that really did happen and that really was some shit. Yeah, because I had kind of blanked out on a lot of stuff in my life as well, but that's a trauma response. And sometimes you're right. Sometimes not remembering is to protect. Is it ain't no sometimes. The reason you don't remember those things is your body's way of protecting itself. Your inner child just closed your mind off from it. Gnostic warrior, I am initially from a small hood. I mean, it wasn't like the hood in a city. I came from a very tiny town, but it was a black neighborhood. I lived on a tiny street with my own name and all of that. Um, at some point, Roz, spirit is gonna probably require you to address it because you can't forgive it and release it until you acknowledge it. You're still holding the trauma and the pain, and I can't say that you're going to be ready to do it right now, but when you're ready to do that, it won't be as painful. It'll be painful. I'm not saying it's not going to be painful, but when you're ready to revisit it, you'll revisit it from a more healed place to be able to kind of understand what was driving them to such a point of pain that they kind of took it out on you in that kick the dog kind of syndrome. Um, I don't know when that's going to happen for you because like I said, I didn't get to dial it up for myself, but I do know that after a while, I had gone through so many other phases, and it was kind of a natural, an organic way for me that in meditation, I was just brought back to like almost like visualizing my childhood home. And at first I wasn't even, it was like an empty things, but then over time, the more I kept being brought back to my childhood home in meditation, I started slowly remembering certain events that I hadn't thought about in years, and I was able to see them differently and realize that's why, I really wasn't thinking about that, or oh my goodness, that actually did happen. And I kept thinking I don't have that much to complain about, or this didn't happen, or that, and I was able to actually see it, but see it in a way that I wasn't super traumatized by it, but I did have to acknowledge that some pretty ugly stuff did happen, and was able to have a good cry, process it, or whatever I needed to do, depending on the circumstance, and then put it away. um Hold on a second. Oh, Valerie, it may be some of both. Honestly, I really think, to some degree, it's a little bit of both. Like the Sphinx, for sure. Because truthfully, you can't really tell if a statue is a man or a woman simply from the nose. But the defacing of a lot of those statues, I think, was because they did have very negroid features to some degree, whether they were male or female. Because for the longest time, we thought that that face on Mars was a woman, but it wasn't. It was Alalu. It was a shrine to Alalu. Bianca, as far as the readings, I do have a reading for the collective. I do collective readings on the channel. I just put one up today for Lionsgate and for the new full moon. If you want a personal reading, you can email me at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com. I can give you the pricing and all for those there. And the payment gateway is through Buy Me a Coffee. And you can get a personal reading that way. At some point, probably next week, I'm going to start a couple of times a week coming on doing mini readings online for donation, or like one question for $10 or something like that. But if you want a private reading, you can email me. I'll be more than happy to respond to you and let you know how to go about it that way. But my thought on the statues thing, I think that for the most part, it was more about wanting to erase the semblance of color, because you got to remember the ones that were doing that were the Romans. They were trying to establish this thought of painting that image of the brown haired, blue eyed Yeshua, and they were literally whitewashing history to promote a narrative of Christianity moving forward as a white religion when not one of the characters in the Bible was white. None of them. Well, the emperor, the Roman Tiberius, may have been considered Euro or white, what have you, but that was a book full of Jews and Middle Eastern Arab folks, black folks. Every character in that book was melanated, but when they were launching Christianity as a white religion from out of the Roman Empire, they had to remove all semblances of power amongst melanated people because they were creating this narrative that white Jesus is the savior and Sky Daddy is white, and this is what you must do and bow down. It's part of the lie. It was the whitewashing of our spirituality. Exactly. Yeah. Antoine, that was like I say, because the Sphinx isn't female, excuse me, but it was definitely Negroid. You're welcome, Bianca. How do I feel about the healing of the body with herbs? I think that's absolutely something that anybody who is facing any kind of disease should look into. Of course, in the United States, I cannot testify to it. I can't encourage or tell anybody to do it, but if you know, you know. And if the doctors can't, if they done already told you that what you got is incurable, what do you have to lose by trying? I honestly, there's very few diseases that's actually incurable. It's incurable by modern medicine standpoints because they ain't came up with a way to. They let's face it. Let's be real. If they tell you the truth, modern medicine ain't interested in curing no diseases because the money is not in the cure. The money is in the maintenance medicine. They can limp you along for 30, 40 years taking pills instead of curing you and having you done with. Why would they cure you? We buy into modern medicine, but modern medicine only been around for 200 years and basically really ramped up since the Industrial Revolution. And we allowed them to psychologically convince us that the man in the white lab coat with the artificial synthetic pills knew more than our grandparents and all the folks who've been practicing Chinese medicine for 10,000 years and all the people who've been practicing Ayurveda for 8 to 10,000 years. All of that stuff, they labeled it as quackery and mumbo jumbo. And we, what I know so damn much selves, allowed the folks that masterminded the Industrial Revolution to convince us that all of that is better than actually healing ourselves. Well, who was it? Which one of the philosophers said, "Let medicine be thy food, and let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food"? They kind of sort of already knew that. The Bible tells us that the leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nations. But we forgot that. We put more of our "in God we trust" go down to big pharma instead of listening to what we've been told in ancient texts all along. So, in my opinion, anybody that has a diagnosis of incurable would do themselves a favor to start doing a lot of research and self experimentation. I can't tell them what to take or what to do because that's illegal. I can't diagnose or treat anything without a medical license in this country. But if I had a diagnosis that something was incurable, I'd be hollering about the devil is a lie and figuring out how to cure myself. Forget what the doctor say. Since they done just gave up and told me it's incurable, then I ain't got nothing to lose. I'm gonna go prove them a lie and go and heal myself. Keith Matswimbo, that's all well and good, but some things on this planet, especially since we've been poisoned by a lot of chemicals and other things, some things take a little more than just prayer. Like I said, them same scriptures tell us that the leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nations. It didn't say that we had to use prayer alone to heal ourselves. So you can go ahead on with that. We were given the wisdom, and Luke was a physician. That part, okay? So to tell somebody that all they need is prayer is a very narrow-minded and a very, in my opinion, not smart attitude to take when Jesus said his own disciples, some of them was physicians. Okay. Exactly. We could pray all day. But if you've been sitting here, look at my situation. I could sit here and pray till the cows come home. If I don't get this sugar out my system, they're going to be cutting my feet off in a couple of years. Prayer or no prayer. If you done sat up and took stuff that you know you're allergic to, all the prayer in the world ain't going to get them toxins out your system. Like you said, faith without works is dead. Tell them, sister. Them ultra holy Christians that claim that all you got to do is pray, make me sick. They be out there killing their children and everything else because they done got so damn holy that they think that they supposed to be able to pray away disease when God done gave you the common sense to understand the anatomy of the human body, then gave you the sense to understand the herbs and stuff that's here, done put the herbs here on the planet for you to use, and then you gonna turn around and refuse to use them because you think you supposed to be holy enough to pray it away. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. I'm so sorry, Keith. I ain't trying to curse you personally, but that's a huge problem for me amongst the ultra holy Christian community. There's whole sects of people that will let their babies die because they refuse to go and get the help, even though God done put all of these medicinal herbs growing up out this ground to help us. And then they want to get some fool behind with a preacher's thing standing in the pulpit tell them that all they need to do is pray. They don't need to go to see no doctors. They don't need no medicine. They can pray it away. That's bullshit. Bullshit. The Bible never said that, Keith. I got to get, hold on a second. Okay, I had to plug up my phone because my battery is getting low. I'm sorry. And again, I'm not upset with you, Keith, because I hear it all the time, and I hope I didn't offend you with that, but you triggered me on that one, bro. Because, no. First off, again, I'm not a Christian anymore because I learned better. I read the scriptures and read the scriptures and read the scriptures, and then I woke up, okay? And the one who is our actual progenitor, the Elohim who actually put us here, was a scientist. He gave us medicine, he gave us art, he gave us philosophy, he gave us herbs, he gave us all of that stuff and the means to use it. Them preachers that tell you that all you need to do is pray, they are charlatans. And they're costing you your life and your children's lives. There is nothing wrong with availing yourself of anything on this planet that can help these avatars be healthier and better. Stop killing yourselves and your babies listening to a bunch of charlatans that don't know what the hell they talking about. They are worshiping a dragon. They call it God, but the God that they're worshiping is not the God that Yeshua was telling them to worship in the first place. And they're worshiping a God that don't give a damn about you or them. So they can tell you ignorant stuff like that because they don't care if you die. Exactly, Natalie Rose. The barons that did all of them that's behind the Industrial Revolution, think about it. They got together, put their money together, and created all of these systems into place to figure out how they were going to get paid. It ain't got nothing to do with our health and well-being. It's about their money. The educational system was put into place so that they could create enough people that could read and write to work in their factories. And then they worked in their factories to create their crap that they turn around and use the media conglomerates, put it out in the newspapers and the radio and then television to tell everybody that they needed to go run down there and buy the factory goods. And then they turned up the same automobile, the steel workers, the wood industry, the dairy industry, the mass commercial food industries, and then we came up with the pharmaceutical industry. When they started making all them chemicals, they poo-pooed actual holistic medicine at the turn of the century. Going from the 1800s into the 1900s, there was more holistic doctors in this country than there was modern quote unquote doctors. And through that smear campaign, they psychologically convinced everybody that natural medicine was quackery and that the real medicine was over here with the pharmaceutical companies. And that's how they turned around and pushed the holistic doctors out of the United States and started with allopathic medicine. And allopathic medicine is not designed to cure anything. They treat the symptoms. They medicate symptoms until they can't medicate them no more. Then they cut off the offending part. And when that doesn't work, then they tell you it's terminal. They put you on hospice and then you die. No, Hunter, you can't hate everything, and the whole world isn't awful. A lot of the things that have been put into place that have been allowed to take over are awful, but the world in and of itself is not awful. The powers that were that's been mismanaging the show for the last few thousand years, they're pretty awful, but there are 8 billion people on this planet. They're not awful. They're just misguided and not feeling powerful, but that's why I'm here and I speak up about the things that I do spiritually on a regular, because like Gil Scott-Heron said, the revolution will not be televised. It's going to happen through the hearts and minds of people, or the hearts and minds. I did it backwards, but genuinely, we will overcome, but we're not going to overcome through wars and guns and shooting and all that. It's by mass consciousness awakening on this planet and deciding to do things differently, deciding on another way of living. But the whole world, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for that. And it bothers me so much that we've been dumbed down that much in society, that these liberal leftists can do that. We can sit here and go on Facebook right now and watch all kind of rump shaking and all kind of crazy ridiculousness. I've went on Facebook the other day and literally saw a woman walking butt naked into a convenience store. She ain't had on nothing but a pair of shoes. And they can show that, but we can't use real words to describe real things that actually happen because somebody was super sensitive and got triggered by a word. They're going to raise a whole generation of idiots that don't even know how to describe the traumas being done to them is what's going to happen. You can't say the word AB asterisk SE, but if somebody is suffering from being AB SE, they don't even know what to call it or say it because we can't say an actual word. It's not a curse word. It's a real word that real people really should know what it means and what it is so they can describe it if they see it. But if we say it on social media, then all of a sudden we're going to be flagged for it. That's just dumb. Dumb. But we can discuss people's transitioning medications and sex change operations. Really? You say you need something from Walmart, Michael Jackson? Well, go to Walmart and get it then. Exactly, Natalie Rose, but that's my point. It really irritates me that I have to do all that asterisks and you can't say this and you can't say D asterisk E, you can't say M asterisk all of these, but these are real words of stuff that's actually happening to people in real time. But because some fool up in Washington decided that it was too triggering of a word, now we can't say real words without being flagged. But like I say, but I can see a butt naked woman walking up somewhere looking crazy all over the internet all day. I can see people punching each other in the face all day. Make it make sense. Exactly. I don't know why he want to tell me why he need to go to Walmart. Go to Walmart. Shoot. Ain't nobody stopping you. Go. Hey, Dr. V. Ananth. How are you? David Johnston, my belief is that we've been told a lot of lies, that the religions that we've been served are a black mirror, that most of what we are doing right now is the exact opposite of what we should be doing, but some changes is about to be made. We literally have an Anunnaki history, and they will be setting the record straight. The ones that are here to help us are actually coming forth and allowing people to have knowledge of that, and I'm one of those people that have bumped into that information, and I share it with people to try to help open their minds and free them from the mental slavery and oppression that is religion on this planet. Oh yeah, no. She was Natalie Rose. She was intentionally naked. I don't know who this chick was or what I saw. I was like, what in the entire hell? You know, she would literally walked up into a convenience store and was shopping and getting her candy. She didn't seem to be in distress in any way, shape, or form. I was shocked that some policeman didn't find her somewhere and lock her simple tail up, because it was absolutely disgusting. She was there because she wanted to be. She wasn't in distress. She wasn't a victim. She was out victimizing other people. I'm like, what if people riding down who who's no, what if your children are there? You know what I'm saying? It's like, even when I used to listen to raunchy music and stuff, and I like loud music and I'd be bumping along, but there were certain things, if I'm riding through a neighborhood, I'm gonna turn my radio down to a respectful level, because everybody's children and grandmama might not want to hear about no throat baby going down the road. You know what I mean? That part. And that was just one example. I see a lot of very questionable things online every time I go online. Like, how in the world did that not get censored? But like you say, we can't use real words to describe real things that are actually happening in a regular conversation. We have to censor our words, but they can show this? Like, really? Make it make sense, people. I just feel for the next generation. Like I say, they literally will have people doing things to them that they no longer have a language for how to even describe the ways they're being victimized, because we're having all of our actual common sense vocabulary stripped away from us by liberal leftists who have decided that those who are too emotionally sensitive to address real words have to be protected by having our vocabulary taken away from us. It's ridiculous. But them same people is so triggered by everything, or get up and tell you about how they now identify as a furry. Somebody asked me that earlier in this thing, talking about, or was it yesterday, talking about identifying as a furry. No, I'm not supporting that foolishness. That's mental illness. I'm gonna direct them to the nearest mental hospital. Antoine, you've been having a feast tonight. You done went from the sauteed mushrooms, now you got chocolate granola, almond banana milk. I need to be over at your house, bro. He's just totally unbothered. He said he gonna unpack all his food. Forget y'all. He is on his tonight. I ain't mad at you though, baby. I ain't mad. Hey Jay, how are you? You know what, y'all? It's almost 11 o'clock. I've officially talked long enough till I definitely can't eat nothing tonight, so that's good. Oh, Jeanette, good to have you. Good. Hey, Dontrell. Good, good. Oh, you're in Arizona? Good. We laugh and smile a lot here. I mean, people say some things that kind of get on my nerves, but even then, I mean, I'm just going to give my opinion and get back to it. I'm not going to let them take my joy, because there's just too much happening in the world for people to stay miserable these days. And they can call it cognitive dissonance. They can call it whatever they want. I try to maintain a higher level of vibration so that I can see the world I want to see, rather than the one that's you know, the dumpster fire that's trying to take over. I rebuke that. We create new earth, and in order to do that, we have to hold that energy of new earth. So yeah, I don't let it get to me for too long. I have my little rant and get right on back over where I'm supposed to. Thank you, Yahweh, Yahweh, my way. I know that's right, Jay or Jeanette. Yeah, Tayyip Erdogan, however you pronounce that. If you really truly want to free Palestine, you're not gonna do it by coming into chat rooms fussing about it. You know how you free Palestine, bro? Get out in your backyard barefoot, get in some meditation, do your breath work, and visualize the world you want to see. You can energetically do way more for Palestine on the energy plane than you ever gonna do busting up into chat rooms, because that's just some political claptrap nonsense. Saying free Palestine in a chat room ain't gonna do a damn thing for Palestine at all. Nothing. But energetically, you could actually do something to help your brothers and sisters in Palestine if you choose to. That was good. And that's good. You made a quick trip into Walmart and out. That's good. I strongly suspect that the freak's about to come out. It's 11 o'clock. That's the witching hour. So I think we're going to call it a night right here, folks. We've had a great time. I definitely appreciate everybody that participated, everybody that bought me coffee. Definitely appreciated those. Those that are waiting on your free readings, I am going to work on them. Like I say, I'm getting to them a little at a time, and I'm going to try to get up early in the morning. That's one of the reasons I want to get out. Oh, no, 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 honey. For the freaks here on YouTube, it's 11. Trust me. Wendell. Yeah, right now, because they start coming out and acting a slap fool. They gonna come in saying all kind of craziness in just a few minutes. But I am gonna be back on tomorrow. I'm gonna get off of here tonight so I can get to bed at a decent hour so that I can get up in the morning at a decent hour and get on those personal readings and a Sunday message for everybody. I do want to upload a Sunday message for the collective that isn't able to join us in the live streams and all that, but I will try to be back online. I'm going to try to aim for about 5 o'clock tomorrow to see if that helps out getting on here any earlier. But yeah, I will be on at some point tomorrow evening between 5 and 7, okay? In the meantime, in between time, be good. And if you can't be good, you know the rest. You know I love you. Peace and blessings to you. Namaste.